Wyrick, it's a beautiful day. People have gathered all around for this celebration, the wedding of Melaine Leffert. You've travelled to the Crown Lands as part of the party from House Blackwood, including your betrothed. You've been in the lists all day and all day yesterday, and you've actually acquitted yourself pretty well. You broke 6 lances against Lord Harren Craycall before you finally unhorsed him, and everyone sort of agreed that it was a sort of a match of true chivalry. But the day before, you had ridden against Sir Luther Bracken, and although everyone agreed that it was a fine test, your lance crushed part of his helmet against his head, and it's unclear whether he will live or not. And so it's kind of put a pall over the celebrations. But as you're making your way through the thronging streets, with this like merry atmosphere all around you, you stop for a moment to watch some mummers at their play, and one of them is juggling apples while standing on the shoulder of another one who's also juggling apples, and they're juggling them like between their hands. It's like, very impressive. You think they must be foreign from across the narrow sea somewhere. And the crowd is like laughing and applauding. But as you turn to Maya, you see that she's not with you.
Yeah, there are less lines around Wyrick's eyes as he stands in the sun, and he squints, looking around in the crowd. And he sees many faces, but none that he recognizes, none that he loves. And he just gets a slight feeling of unease beneath his ribs, in his gut. And he looks around to see if he can try and see her.
It's like so busy, and there's people everywhere. You can see that Lawrence is standing next to you, sort of always next to you, making sure that no one messes with you. But it's really, really busy, and like everywhere you look, you know, there's people jostling and shouting and stuff like that. And as you're kind of looking around, you think you can hear her call your name, and it's not like, "Oh, there you are." It's help.
Yeah, he feels a heat sort of burn across his skin. The day, seemingly a nice, clean and warm day, is now become sweltering. And panic sort of just erupts in the side of his mind. And he starts pushing people out of the way. The mummers juggling get jostled and drop their apples as he pushes his way towards the cry for help.
There's like boos from the crowd, and like someone throws a tomato in your direction, and all this like shouting starts to happen, and you're pushing, and you can hear her call your name again as you're like rushing through. And then you can see like between these two buildings, you can see, or hear rather, this scream from her. And you can hear the shing of something being drawn, and yourself and Lawrence are like pushing through as fast as you can to get close. But she's screaming.
Wyrick has been trained all his life to draw on the slightest inkling that a weapon has been drawn against him or against any that he would wish to protect. His sword is in his hand before he knows it as he rounds the corner, and is desperately trying to lock eyes on what's happening.
When you turn the corner, you can see that 4 thugs have like had grabbed her, but Martin was by her side, and he's dispatched 3 of them. Though he's been stabbed in the side, and his tunic is like mostly turned crimson, and his nose is bleeding, maybe broken. But even so, he stands as a knight of the 7, and she stands behind him. As you like join with him, you're able to dispatch this last thug.
Instantly, as soon as the man hits the ground, Wyrick is by his wife's side, and he's saying 1,000 things per second, asking in every way if she's all right, is she hurt, what's happened.
She's sort of like shaking her head and nodding, and she's saying, "Yes, no, I'm fine. No, I'm okay. Yes, and it's just like she's in tears and like obviously very frightened by what had happened. And Martin is like breathing heavily, and he like is leaning on the wall nearby, and he'll like fall down onto the ground. And then you sort of like blink, and you can see before you on the table Sir Martin the Fair. His eyes are forever closed.
That same heat is upon Wirrick's face. He looks down numbly at this man who sacrificed many things in his life to help him, simply because he said some words. He leans forward and he presses both of his hands upon the table, the wood creaking as he leans against it. The weight of what's happened to someone he called brother from that day in the alleyway, a brother of his choosing.
It's clear that like Sir Lawrence hasn't been told yet. You've been brought here to like the Hall of the Wounded, and there's a great many wounded. Many of them are just like moaning. Some of them are crying for their mothers in their last moments. As Maester Timos is like run off his feet, and many of the sort of hangers on and people in the castle are doing their best to like boil enough wine and like tourniquet enough wounds and things like that. And there's like a strong sort of iron smell in the room. But Sir Martin, it is clear, is not going to make it. He's very much dead already.
Are there any well, I don't think there are silent sisters here at this time, are there? So are there people who are tending to the sick?
There's no sept, and so there's no silent sisters or anything like that. Maester Timos is doing everything he can to like look after the wounded, but he's just one man, and there are a great many wounded, and a lot of them are like need things that are expensive, like painkillers, like Milk of the Poppy, which is expensive and saved for you and for Lawrence and for like those who are sort of higher station. And so a lot of these guys just have like bad wounds, deep cuts, things like that. Maester's face is sort of pale and sweating.
Yeah, Wirrick approaches and he says, Maester, have you a full counting of the dead and those injured?
It's hard to say at this stage, Lord. It's bad. Many dead. Over 10, maybe 11. Some may not make it. I'm doing everything that I can.
What else would help you? What would you need?
A miracle? And he sort of like realizes who he's talking to and shakes his head. I'm sorry, Lord. It's a lot. I should get back to it.
Wirrick sort of he doesn't even move from as Mason says, I've got to get back to it, and sort of turns away. Wirrick is just stood there, still looking at the same spot for a second. There's still this ringing in the side of his head where he was struck, and while his hearing and his sight has returned to normal, he's still got this dull, aching pulse in that side of his body. He, as the Maester is busy, is there anyone else who would be around that would be able to send ravens?
Yeah, I mean, you'd be able to do it yourself, I think.
I think that's probably best, actually.
And you'd know that, like, yeah, like any of the people who've been trained to write and stuff can do it. Although the Maester is like better with the birds than anyone else.
Of course, he swiftly rushes from where these men are being taken care of, where these men are dying and groaning around him, and he's able to scribble onto a small roll of parchment a message to Willard. And as he was shown as a boy, and I don't think he probably hasn't done this since he was a boy. He awkwardly handles a raven,
like pecks at you a bunch of times. It's like aggressive and doesn't like that you're near it. But you're able to do it. It's just a bird after all, and eventually you're able to like hold it down and tie the message to its foot.
And he sort of just murmurs Warrenden as if hoping that would make any difference. It's never been clear to him how the birds know, but the birds always know. And he sends forth a message to to Willard, summoning him home as soon as possible.
There's a great many wounded, among them yourself, Lawrence. And at some stage you'd wake up, I imagine, with this pretty bad stinging pain in your side. Although when eventually the maester comes around to you, he'll tell you that it's mostly superficial. You'll have a scar, and like it'll be sore, but it's not going to kill you. It's been washed out with boiled wine and things like that.
Yeah, I think there's this moment where consciousness like returns to him, and he'll like open his eyes with like a gasp of surprise. Like the fact that he's alive is almost a shock that he woke up like back just in the world. And I like go to like sit up immediately, still fearing the chaos that he lost consciousness in. But like the pain in his hip will like sting so bad that he won't be able to like bring himself up properly. He'll wince with like this agonizing gasp, and see the maester there, but then kind of take a immensely brief look around to see where he is and see that he's like back in the hall and that the maester's there, and just look up. So we won, I guess, or else I wouldn't be here.
A victory, sir, yes.
Like go to sit, but like it won't be able to. He's just like so battered. The hip injury is the worst, but he's like taken so many. It'll just like shake his head, like almost ashamed that as a knight, like he's been put into such a state, like it doesn't feel right, that he shouldn't be able to move his body. That's like the one thing that he has that he can use, that no one else, that the others don't have to the same degree. It'll just kind of wince.
Yeah, he'll put his hand on your chest and try to push you back down. You shouldn't move. So the more you move, the worse it will be. You need rest.
Yeah, I imagine the pain like muddies his mind, like almost sends him back into that like unconscious state from just the sudden rush of all this stimulus and the agony of it. Just, again, like shake his head, but resign himself to the maester's commands. Lay back down under the table. Good, I guess. At least that we made it.
Yes, sir. There are other wounded. I should see to them.
Of course, I'll be okay.
Alfie, you're like in significant agony, and like coming in and out of consciousness. And as you kind of wake, the maester is putting this piece of leather between your teeth. And he says, "This will be unpleasant." And there, you can see that there are others here who are like your wrists are being held, and your left foot is being held. And then the maester moves around to your right, and that's where the pain is, most of it. And so he takes some boiling wine and pours it over the wound. They've had to cut your boot off. And then they're going to set to like setting and splinting, and like sewing as best they can the wound, like making sure all the bones are in the right place. So there's a lot of pain, and I think you probably go in and out of consciousness a few times.
Each move, if he's offered milk of the poppy, he will not take it, telling them to save it for somebody else who really needs it. But he's grey as the house slate color, and gripping tightly onto the side of the bed. Just he can't hold back a scream, screaming into the leather, a gagged scream every now and then. He's fighting it, but he can't stay silent as he wants to, and he'll survive. He'll sit there, being jerked out of unconsciousness by the pain throughout most of the process, and then just once the maester starts moving away, he'll just nod and nod to the maester, who's the only one. Maester Timos is the only other one in in the castle in Blackmere who speaks any of the old speech, and he'll just say, thank you in old speech before he sort of slumps back into a sort of delirious grey haze.
Yeah, it'll be a long process and agonizing, and it's the kind of pain that you will remember for the rest of your life. But eventually, like, you'll wake up and you'll see that it's been bound and wrapped and everything like that. So this will go on for a few hours, if not days, of the wounded being tended to here. But in the meantime, in Warrendon, Willard, you're sitting in the offices that once belonged to Lucas Winch. And it's comfortable here. There's like these windows, and so you get this lovely natural light, and it's warm and quite cozy, and there are books everywhere, which maybe is something that you enjoy. And before you are spread the many accounts and sort of ledgers of Winch and of the harbour master and people like that. And there's a gentle sort of knock on the door and a call. "Fisherman here for you, my lord," Osric grunts.
"Send them in, thank you."
Yeah, this man comes in. He's sort of older, with like a white beard and the leathery face of a man who spent most of his time on the sea. He introduced himself as Garin Hook. "Lord, I wanted to come and introduce myself. We heard that you had come in to take a hand in running Warrendon, and we wanted to get off on the right foot, as it were, Lord. We've always done it in this way, but at the end of every week, every fisherman gives a tenth of what he's caught to the town. And that fish is dried and salted and kept in the stores. It goes the same for seal meat and whale meat, but Master Winch always took a quarter of the blubber that we got from those animals. We don't really eat a lot of it, Lord. And he gave it to, I don't know, actually, Lord. But whenever there's a whale, he'd pay us a copper each man."
"Your payment will continue as before, Hook. And the quarter of blubber, do you know any men who might know to where that ended up, to whom that was traded?"
"I'm not sure, sir. I could ask. Some of the men might know. Laborers bringing it around."
Indeed, yeah, see that you do, and I'll see that you're rewarded for that."
"Thank you, Lord. If you need anything, I want to talk to. I'm sort of the head man for the fishermen, so if you need anything, I'm your man."
"Good. My brother or I would like to meet with you regularly, especially given the precarious season we fall into. I want to ensure the last of the fishing is brought in and held up in Blackmere Tor to see us through the winter in case it be long. The quarter of blubber should not be missed then, I'm sure, if it too can be sent to Blackmere Tor to fuel the torches and such to light us through the dark months."
"Yes, Lord. I'll see to it."
"The rest, it stays with you and the other fishermen, and you sell it at the markets in Warrendon?"
"Aye, we eat it and we sell it."
"And with that coin, I see what could be called thriving or prosperous by comparison, portside town."
"Yeah, it does pretty well for itself, I think, here in Warrendon, Lord."
"There are no walls, and the Ironborn are close. I have concerns that if this winter is severe, they might come prowling here." "Even now our forces march on the Howling Hills, men who have been seen to bear arms, the likeness of those who inhabit the Iron Islands. There might be more to come."
"Oh. You should build walls then, Lord. I don't mean to tell you your business."
"A capital idea. I should have thought of it myself."
He smiles to himself, very pleased.
Such a thing, though, would be costly, though we have stone enough in the surrounds. And he'll give like a small smile to further endear the man.
Aye, there is stone, isn't there? There's
"And the seas are harsh in winter, and a fisherman must live on what is caught in the warm months and through what trade he's been blessed with. But if there were other toil that he could be put to and be paid for, will that give him more resource to see through the winter months?
Oh, that's right, Lord. Yeah. Usually we do this and that, try and make ends meet.
Mm. Well,
Lord, me and the fisherman, we could help.
he turns his head as if he has to think about it, and then we'll turn back to the man and nod and give him that look of, you are a keen man to have around. Say, a capital idea. I could sequester funds from my brother to see your men immersed. We could have stone brought down from Howling Hill and the Blackmere.
Yes, Lord. Oh, they'll be keen. They'll be very keen.
That is good to know. But first, we must see in the last of the autumn fishing to see our stocks as full as possible. Don't you think?
Absolutely, Lord. Yes, I think that's important.
And so you met with Winch to give him this share that's been organised for some time, and then to Oleg to pay the 10th, which was to go on to Blackmere Tor.
That's right, Lord. Yes.
And on an average season, how much do you think that would be? And I'm not asking him actually for a figure, just so that he has an idea that I can cross-reference with Frederick's and Oleg's accounts to see how much was skimmed or farmed of that.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly about numbers and stuff like that, but
yeah,
I think that they were skimming for sure.
Yeah. I'll smile pleasantly as he recounts the information and I'll thank him for it. And I'll say now, with the grievous loss to our domain at this precarious hour, I have need for other loyal servants to the house, and that's a hard thing to say about those men. But he'll say it with a hopeful expression on his face and leave some silence after it for Hook to come to his own thoughts about it.
Well, I mean, speaking for myself, some of the boys, we're glad to have you here, Lord. Feels like Warrington matters now, as there's a Lord here.
I rue that my father did not visit this place, so entwined with the history of my people as yours. A shame that I would rectify, and I know my goodly brother Wirrick does too, else he would have not come days past to rally the good folk against brigandry in our lands. He will return, I'm sure of it. He will see what I see of Warrington, the place of an ancient house, stern people as stone against the waves, weathered but inured and prosperous by their ken.
He sort of stands a bit straighter at that. That's right, Lord.
Your people have always been here?
My people, yeah. All the way back to, well, I don't know. I can't read, but long time ago.
And who owns the biggest ship in the harbour that is not sailed here from without? Surely a man under you, or you yourself?
I think it's me. It's close. It could be me. I have one of the biggest. I do a lot of the whaling, Lloyd, when I can.
And you have the ear of the men and come as their representative?
That's right, Lloyd, yeah.
I think there is need for men such as you, perhaps on the Council of Blackmere, a master of ports, a harbour master of Warrington.
He, his eyes widen. Me, Lord, on a council.
He'll nod. With our dear Oleg departed, and the Winches fell to brigandry, there is need for elevation in Warrington. With newfound attention from Slate will come newfound responsibility. It must be dispersed. You seem confident and you have the initiative to proactively come before me to speak of these things, which shows you care about these people too.
My wife won't believe it, Lloyd. She'll think I'm lying.
Give her this, and he'll take a small pouch with 10 silver stags in it and slide it across the table to the man.
He looks at it and then looks at you. I will. Maybe she'll believe me now, Lord.
That should be more than enough to find you garb befitting your station in the colours of Warrenden if you so choose, Hook, or your own.
Yes. Thank you, Lord.
You'll meet with my brother or myself when we come here and when we summon you to council. In time, a horse will be provided to your family. For that end, I would not see you from your vital business, which is the maintenance and keeping of efficiency of what fleets and fisheries we have.
Yes, Lord. I'll do as best I can.
Thank you, Harbour Master. I trust you will, he'll say, and he'll rise and gesture for the coin that the man should take it.
Yeah, he'll do so, and then sort of like bow his head and leave. And you'll hear him like whistling this like very merry tune as he like leaves the house.
He'll turn back and go and sit at the desk and take his stylus and dip it in some squid ink and mark the accounts showing that funds deducted.
There'll be other people who come like throughout the day, and with the books and with them, you're able to figure out that like the blubber was going to the chandlers who make candles and oil and stuff out of it, and like Winch was making decent money from that, and the selling of it like to the south. And you think like after a bit of research and whatnot that you could probably make around 200 silver stags a month in Warrenden after you've that's like through taxation and tithes and stuff like that if it's properly managed. And you think if you managed it the way that you are managing it now and like started to ramp up things, you could make more than that pretty easily.
That prospect is pleasing, but it's also painful because it's that what we have been skimmed and robbed and what has been lost through foolishness is even worse again than he thought. It's a new surge each time the more he investigates
Yeah.
the seepage, to call it that. But that's positive for the times to come. Like they won't have resource so much; they'll need coin, and if he can make it more efficient, he'll begin to that end.
In terms of building a wall and stuff like that, after like having a chat with some of the advisors and with Hook himself and stuff, he would, Timos, the maester, if you're in communication with him, would say that there is a hill in Warrenden, and he would say if you can build a stone wall there, that's a good cull, and then build a wooden wall around the rest. It'll be pricey to build stone, even with sort of stone here. You'd have to hire masons and stuff like that, and so it'll be, he thinks, maybe 1,000 silver for the wooden wall, and more than that for the stone.
Is that including like taking wood from our lands and not trading for wood?
If you took it from your own lands and like, yeah, it would be quite a lot of wood, but I guess there are woods and forests. It'd be less than that. You could do a little bit of, you probably drop it. And in terms of stone, like the cost isn't necessarily the stone itself. It's like the labor required,
Crafting and labor,
the crafting and stuff, you know? Yeah.
And is that including possibly taking, or could we take stone from Howling Hill, those 3 ruined stone houses there, to build the buttress of the stone stuff?
Yep, that would lower the cost again, probably. Yeah.
And then at some later time, perhaps we could use funds to purchase lumber to make a wooden watchtower to serve at Howling Hill till we have enough resource to properly fortify that too. Because I think a wall in Warrenden's more important. Warrenden is like really vital. So 1,000 silver pieces for the wooden wall, less some. And what do you think with the labor for the stone part of it upon that hill?
So I'd say if you like take your own wood, and now with the labor from the fishermen and stuff, you still have to pay them, but you probably get the wall down to like,
yeah, that's pretty good.
Get the wall down to like 700, the wooden one. And then I think for the stone, let's see, if you take a bunch of those stones from the buildings and then you're
Howling Hill,
and then you're considering like that's a lot of worked stone already. It might need a bit of work to clean up and like scrape off moss and things like that. But consider a stone wall, considering it's like a smaller area, would be like another 1,000.
Okay.
But that would cover sort of like a hill area, like a smaller area, you know. like an inner keep sort of.
Yep. So like a stone sanctum, and then like a curtain all around that of palisade, and obviously after that we can ditch and stake and further ourselves much cheaper. 1,700 in total.
This is, I mean, I'm thinking of a wooden wall in terms of like that would have like a platform along most of the way, certainly around the gates and stuff. Exactly.
Yeah, cool. Okay, yeah, and that's including paying the wages of the fishermen through winter to do it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's I'm hopeful of that. I'll detail all that down, make notes, and roll it up into a scroll and put it into like a leather bag stuff that I need to take to see Wirrick when he calls. I've probably like been stuffing more and more into it over the last hours, and not nervous, but like pacing sometimes and thinking over long about like what's happening with the host that was to march on Howling Hill.
Yeah.
Curiosity has like turned to the edge of worry, like for each hour that goes longer. In his mind, he thinks the thing would have been a quick, sure thing, and he would have heard something by now. So he puts himself to other tasks so that he doesn't. So he's not allowed to dwell on it for too long. And this serves for now. So he'll put the plans for that in, and seems initially quite like positive, and thinks that he'll try and persuade his brothers to do that. It's such a great deterrence, like it really is. And so he'll like begin to toil with that and think of this man Hook, like of the strengths that the man displayed, and what weaknesses he might shore up by the intervention of other folk that might come over to him, so to speak, in Warrendon.
Back in Castle Blackmere, a couple of days would have passed at this stage, and I think Lawrence, you'd be up and about, and I guess you would have sent that raven, Wirrick. But there's a lot of sort of commotion still. Many of the people who were wounded are dead. This like doesn't affect your total of people who had died. That's like the final number. But a lot of those would have been brought back here before they died. And so there's a lot of like sort of misery about the house. A sad sort of pall that's fallen over the place, and a sort of grim sort of quietness that's fallen. Lawrence, I think you would like be up, and it'd be hard to hide from you the fact that Martin fell in the skirmish. He wouldn't be in like the house with the wounded anymore. He'd have been taken away to like a quiet, colder place. But there's no one here to do the sort of funeral rites, as far as you know, and so he's just been left somewhere.
Yeah, at this stage, he's seen too much for like the information not to be obvious to him, but still like no one has said it. So he's going to go to find the maester in the hall, just like ignoring the fact that there are still like wounded people and like dying people here that are being tended to, and like that's important. Like at this point, like this like powder keg of dread has built up in him so much that he's gonna just go anyways, despite the fact that he's interrupting.
Yes, sir, how are you? How's your hip?
I'm able to walk, at least for now.
That's good. That's good. I think it will heal well. You'll have a scar, but
Why has nobody told me? I think it would have been important that I know.
you had to heal. It wouldn't have helped. You couldn't have done anything.
So it's true. He's, and I was just gonna like shake his head.
Before he even came back here.
Where is he?
We've moved him to the dungeons. It's cold there.
Dungeons?
You don't have
Man was a
cell.
knight.
He's not locked up, Sir Lawrence. But it's quiet and cold there.
I know he's not locked up. I don't care if it's not right. For a man who died in battle, a knight, to rot in a cell, even if he's not locked. It's unacceptable.
There are no Silent Sisters here, no Sept. His funeral arrangements will be up to you, Sir Lawrence.
Is there any contingency, some proper channel in the event? Surely he can't be the first knight who's died away from home. What do they usually do? I'll do it myself.
Here, there's no Sept, and so there's no Silent Sisters, and there's no one to say the prayers, no one to clean the body in the way that they do. The closest Sept is at Whitehill, and it's not close.
How far?
Several days up into the mountains.
Would his body be able to just kind of like trail off?
I don't. It will begin to rot quickly.
He'll kind of like chew on his lip. He's like not sure what to do. Like in his heart, he's like convinced that like Martin deserves better than to just like rot here with no proper ceremony. But he's not sure that he'd even be able to make it. Does it have to be burial? Is there no other proper way? Just like reaching for anything.
Usually the Dark Sisters would remove the insides and with fire cleanse the bones, and then the bones would be buried near a Sept, in the grounds of a Sept, whenever possible. Here they bury people in barrows. There are hills and great barrows around here. The Ironborn send theirs to the bottom of the sea. The Dragon Lords burn theirs. It is possible you could make it to the Sept. The body may not be for you. I could try to. It's not really my speciality. It's not what a maester does. It's not healing. It's something else. Touching of corpses is. I'm sorry. I wish that I could do more.
Beset with grief.
Yeah.
He walks away.
I'm just going to leg it for 2 seconds to get a cup. I didn't bring a cup to pour my coffee into while Jeff is away. 1 sec.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back. So while Sir Lawrence wrestles with his grief, what's Jeremy been up to in this sort of these few days while everyone else is badly wounded?
Jeremy was seeing to the fallen at in the Howling Hills, where the fort and the site of the most recent battle was. Yeah, they've raised a barrow that stands between the holdfast and the sea. Yeah, the day the sea rose up and battled against the stones of the slate stones. So that's been a lot of digging and carting of rocks and the like, and also I imagine they were left with some orders to begin felling the trees in that small copse that sheltered their approach. So they've been seeing to that as well, and preparing this place as a fortified location to oversee both the path to the Volan lands to the north, and also as a route that Ironborn or bandits may take down south into Slate holdings. Yeah, he's taken ill somewhat. All these events of recent weeks has left him sleep deprived, and as he grows accustomed to the responsibilities of his new station, a very awkward pivot point between the small folk and the great lords now. He kind of cops it from both sides. And but yeah, given time and any changes in orders, eventually he would return to Blackmere, perhaps by way of his parents' house, Mar Brice. He would give them a brief account of the battle, and perhaps pick up some herbs and poultices and the like, seeking out Ulfston with a poultice from Mar Brice for his injured foot, and to also seek counsel with one at least of the Slate family that he knows shares some of his concerns.
Yeah, you could do so. Ma would be quite concerned when you came back. She definitely would sense like the tension in you, I think, and would grill you.
Yeah. Ma, with the old gods, what if someone was to attack someone under a peace branch or a peace flag? How would that go in the old ways, Ma?
That's a good question. Did they eat bread and salt together, or meat?
No, there was no time for that, to be sure. And I know I found out since that there was an attack, and he'll kind of shift. This is getting closer to the real issue, awkward issue for him. He'll pause a bit and say, I know there was an attack upon Lord Willard and the Winches by the bandits, they say. A great bloody ambush. And I can only guess that Lord Wirrick himself was so angered and so mad. He was having none of this talk under a peace flag.
Well, I think if they didn't eat bread and salt and they didn't shake hands, maybe then it's maybe okay. I don't really. And she's like thinking, and she doesn't really know, obviously. And she's just making this up. She's like scratching at her chin a little bit. And Dad says, if they didn't eat bread and salt, then there's no deal. There's no parlay. Anyway, it's not a white flag, it's a branch that you're supposed to use.
I don't know.
White flag is other stuff.
I didn't know that they had a branch. And circled in like they were doing what they could. But some of the people, like, they think it's a bad omen for the winter.
Well, it's breaking the king's peace, isn't it? Dad says. And Ma says, well, they were here against us. They're not supposed to be here. They broke the king's peace in the first place. And Dad's like, well, if they offered a parlay and then were attacked, then that's breaking the king's peace. And they get into this argument together about who actually did the king's peace breaking.
It's a tricky business. Well, Ma, if you can see your way clear to give me some herbs and maybe a poultice or two, I'll take them up to Blackmere and see to Ulfstan and the others.
Oh yeah, Alfie's sore, is he? I'll see what I can do. And she like begins rooting around and like pulling down various herbs and things like that, and begins to make a poultice.
Yeah. So finding no clarity there to things, but at least he'll think perhaps he could use the fact they had no salt. They partook of no rites of salt and bread to allay some of the fears and the worries of the villagers and other small folk. So yeah, and he'd make his way up to the castle and get a feel for what's happening up there, I guess, in the aftermath before seeking out Ulfstan.
Okay. Willard, you would be able to make your journey back to the house. Osric would have informed you that he found and dealt with the remaining winch boy. As he was like camping, snuck in, cut his throat.
And his goods and coin?
Hadn't got any. Nothing worth taking.
Anything written on his person?
Well, I dumped his body
in
the woods.
And he was alone in that country?
He had men with him. I just snuck in and killed him.
And the rest?
They were still asleep when I left.
Were they northerners, my father's people, or southerners like Winch? If you had to guess by how they were kept at their sleep or in their tents.
I think most of them were locals. Bunch of mismatched people, Lord. No good, I think.
He'll hand over some silver to the man. My thanks. Watch those people if you can. See if they'll come back to Warrenden and to other toil, or if they stay in the wild and begin to survive that way, in which case find a ditch for them as well. I'm to ride to Blackmere Tor. So I leave you here in Warrenden to see to Slate interests, and he'll give a wry smile at that and put forward a bit more of the extra coin. I want to know all the ins and outs, so to speak, of the brothels down by the docks and what other business stakeholders there are in addition to Lysara and the Harbour Master Hook.
Well, Lord, of all the men you could have asked to investigate a brothel, you've chosen the correct one, he'll say.
The other side of his cheek will go up, so it's a smile on both sides. He'll hand over 10 silver in total to the man, and that's quite a bit, and for his keeping for some time. I'll
find out what I can, Lord.
I'll take Beric with me, but I'll have one of the servant boys here who knows his way about a horse, should you need to send word to the Tor, and that he'll stand from the table.
Yeah, he'll nod and go about his business. And you can make the journey back towards Blackmere.
Yeah, I'll just ride with him, like himself and Beric, I think, just the two.
You would be able to find Alfie, Jeremy, and you come back. He's in the it's like big room that's been used. It's not even. It's kind of like a barn, I guess. And it's been like cleared out, and many of the wounded are kind of lying here, and Alfie would be among them because he can't walk, and no one can lift him.
Jeremy, come here, come here. Come here, my lad.
Look at you, Alfstan. Just lazing around as usual.
As soon as you come near enough, he makes a grab at you and starts trying to climb his way up your body, sort of using you as a sort of ladder to get his arm round your shoulder. The Meister Timus has been keeping me in bed, but with a bit of
Easy, Alfstan.
No.
Let me get my legs under me, Alfstan. There we go.
Nah, what I need is exercise. You know, he's done his best, the Master Timus, but he doesn't really know how tough we are up here. But there've been. I've heard of the deaths, and I want to go and.
Absolutely not. Get back on that stretcher. The Maester comes over and he's like pointing a finger as if you're
fine. I'm fine, Master Timus. What I need is exercise.
You're going to re-break those bones. Back.
That's it, Alfstan. Listen to the Meister.
No, you as well. Oh, Jeremy.
Well, it's
I need to
only
see
that.
I need to see. I need to pay my respects to the dead. A little bit of exercise. I need to get out of here, but I need to see the dead. A little bit of exercise. Meister Timus, the walk to the crypts will not kill me. If I'm aided by this man, he's a strong man of the north.
He rolls his eyes. It might kill you. Your own fault. And he turns and goes to see to another man who's squealing.
You've stood up now, Alfstan, and the blood's drained away from your head, so you should be feeling back to normal right soon. But take a seat. I bought you a present.
We need
and I would hand over some ale.
I need fresh air. I just need to get out of there. But I do need to. I may not. I don't know. I want to see the dead. Talk as you've helped me to walk, and you can give me the presents when we get back.
You're your own man, Alfstan, and of course, I'll help you as much as I can. Just wait there a second.
What?
And
he makes a grab for something.
I'll dodge lively out of the way, and I'll go find like a quarterstaff or something to do that job for him to like at least, if not a crutch, I'm not sure, that might be asking a bit much. So I'll just find a quarterstaff for him to use in the other hand to, so I can support him and he can have a quarterstaff in the other hand to help him move.
Mm-hmm. And then
right here we are.
That's better. Some good northern sense. It's been a heavy toll.
Aye. Dark days, Alfstan. Maybe more to come.
But it was...
And Jeremy coughs into his sleeve.
But
What's the step then, Elfstone?
Yeah. I don't like to see any deaths, but there's a lot of injuries, a lot of deaths, but it was not the enemy needed dealing with after the murder of the winches and the hell they've been kicking up round here. I've heard the stories.
Aye. And I think sort of helping Elfstan to a place like near a arrow slit or whatever. You'll kind of let him get a brief rest and get some fresh air. And he'll sort of stand there paralyzed for a minute and then say, "It were all my fault, Elfstan.
What?
If I hadn't feathered those bandits, then they wouldn't have been so mad as to attack Willard and the Winches."
Bandits need dealing with. We dealt with them. We took some losses, and we'll learn from them. It was there are new ways coming in. There are new ways coming in, southern ways of dealing with things, and as we adjust to learning these new ways, there's bound to be some difficulties, even some casualties. But we're northern. We adapt. We're strong. We'll find a way to. You know what it's been like on the stony shore. There hasn't been much hope, hasn't been much future to look forward to. We just survive. But this new Lord Wirrick, he's not satisfied with it. He's tasted the South, and he's not satisfied with just mere survival. And I like his talk. And if we have to, it may take a few purges. It may take a few wounds. It may. You can't end a sickness without letting some blood. But if that's what it takes, I think this is the purge that the Stony Shore needs to go through.
Yeah, Jeremy's mind will swing back to the carnage and the horror of the battle. Something that, previously he's probably been in some skirmishes, but being an archer, he was always so distant from any real violence and much more used to the blood of the hunt. When his mind will go back to the screaming horses and in that fateful charge. I know how much they care about their horses, but they rode them right onto the spikes, Elfstan. Are they going to do that to us? And then he'll look around and lower his voice a bit more. It was surely we could have done it, like, I don't know, smarter, like.
In the north of the wall, when I was growing up, it was easy to see where power was. It was the strong. People followed the strong because they feared them, or people followed the intelligent because they respected them. But down here, power is pilot power belongs to custom and silent, invisible bonds. And it's we do not follow our leaders here because they're necessarily the most intelligent or the strongest, but because they are our leaders. That wasn't a very inspiring speech, was it?
Aye, they're the lords, and that's that. I hear you, Elfstan.
I have made a vow. And I am hopeful. I am not without hope. I can't see how they'll lead us out of this, and it hasn't been the best of starts, but I like their ambition.
It's true, it's true. Some of the small folk, filled with anger, I guess, at the fallen, they've been pouring vinegar in my ear, Elstan, about word got out about the peace flag and the charge. Some of them are saying it's a poke in the eye of the old gods, and the winter will go hard for us.
There's always them that talk. Sometimes there are more, sometimes there are less, but there's always them that talk. And you know me, I've done my fair share of talking, of moaning and complaining. I come from beyond. I was brought up beyond the wall, where we speak our mind and do not mind our speech. And my tongue speaks far too freely at times. But here, I think the way forward is to, I don't know, but I am worried as well. I can't lie to you. I can't lie to you, Jeremy. I do worry, but
Yeah, Jeremy will uncork the ale and hand it over to Elfson.
He lifts it to his mouth and throws his head back and then spits it out suddenly and says, "Oh, I swore that by my words I would not bring them into disrespect. And while I am sober, I trust my tongue. But when I drink, I have been known to say foolish things. I've been known to say stupid things. And at the moment, with the pain and everything, I have all sorts of angry thoughts and dangerous thoughts going around in my head. It's better that I do not open the door to them with alcohol," he says, handing it back. "It was kindly thought, and I thank Marbreeze and Dar for sending it to me. I recognize that flavor, and gods, I could do with a drink, but..."
Great. There's great changes happening, Elfstan. I'll say, putting the cork back in the
He nods.
ale.
He nods and
Okay.
looks into your eyes. "It is a time of change. It's a time of a new lord, and a new lord. We always must adapt to a new lord. Things will always change. It's a healthy way. Things should never always be exactly the same. We should remember the past, but we should be ready to change."
Well, there's no shortage of change about. I was thinking perhaps a bit of honoring the old ways might not go astray. You know the small folk can be as skittish as a wild pony some days. So I was thinking when we were on a hunt the other day, and what you said about the teeth in the werewolf tree, perhaps Lord Wirrick, he would draw one of his teeth and hammer it into the tree to show that I don't know, he feels the pain of the loss of the battle, and he too honors the old gods. Then they wouldn't worry so much about, the peace flag and the winter and that.
"Jeremy, this is a good idea, and you are on the council. I would happily say it to my cousin, but I think he would value you and value the council as much. I will back you up, but I want him to know it was your idea, and you are not yet comfortable sitting on the council with the nobles, and you do not seem relaxed at offering your opinion. I offer my opinion too much, you not enough. We both need to adapt. I think you should tell the Lord yourself, and I will support you in this.
But your family, Alston, he's not going to send you to the wall. And then I'll, like, mid-sentence freeze as I remember Frederick getting sent off.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm laughing, but
I mean,
I'm
you
laughing.
know,
He looks
sorry.
at that.
Well, yeah, well, maybe that's not right. But anyway, let me help you back. Let me help you back to your bed. And I got a poultice here from Marbrice.
Some real medicine. Now, Meister Timos is doing what he can, but now, I'll put that on. It's already making me feel better just thinking about it. But tell me, there's another old thing. Widow Ranvi, who came down from the north with me, from beyond the wall. She keeps a few pots of surströmming, the fermented fish that we free folk, or those not we free folk, those free folk, he says, quickly changing the way he's speaking, love to eat, and I still have a taste for it. But also, it was customary to. It tastes so foul and nauseous that it's said to keep the whites from the body, and to make, if you put a little bit under the tongue of the dead body, it's a proof to see that they are truly dead and not just in a coma. Because if the strong taste of surströmming can't rouse them, then nothing can, and they are truly dead. If you wouldn't mind going to my Widow Ranvi and returning with a pot, that would it would be my way of honouring the dead, and also, though the people here will hate me for it, I do love the taste.
I have son. I think I can smell it from here. You see, but you'll need to rest up, Stan, because many of the fallen we've put into a barrow back into the bosom of the stony shore, close by the Howling Hills. So it's a bit of a walk, or a ride.
Oh. He's looking grey and tired already. I better get back. What Timos says about my foot is killing me, and I need Marbreeze's ointment on it. And that will sort it out. And he starts hobbling back towards his bed.
Yeah. So Jeremy will probably, when Timos is away tending to his duties elsewhere, will maybe remove whatever he's put on there and put on the poultice.
Yeah, that's that. I can already feel it doing it. It's good. It's good. Thank you.
Hearth and home, heart and bone, she said, and I'll do the customary 3 passes with the seal blubber candle, seal blubber lamp across it, and say the words I was told to say. And well, I'll see about those fermented fish guts then for you, Elfston.
Cheers.
And
thanks for coming round. But he's already sort of sinking back. You can see he's sort of a little grey, and he's got tired by the visit.
Yeah, and Jeremy will head off.
So, Sir Lawrence, you would have finished speaking with the Maester, and he would have sort of said, "Is there anything he can do for you to help you? He will do it within reason." But he's not a silent sister, and like it's like unclean to like mess with corpses. That's what they exist for. And so he doesn't like. He's not keen to do their job because he doesn't know how, and he doesn't want to because it's sort of like irreligious to do so.
Yeah, Lawrence would acknowledge it, like understanding that there's only so much that exists in the world to like deal with that sort of thing, and that if it's like out of the Maester's hands, then it's out of his hands. But knowing that, but still resolved to make some amends at it, Lawrence would try to find Wyrick if he could, and see if he can get leave to go take care of this on his own if there's nothing that can be done here.
Yeah, you could find Wyrick, I imagine, in his quarters or like in the rookery or somewhere.
Yeah, you'll find Wyrick. He'll be in his quarters for sure, and you'll find him at a desk with parchment in front of him, and he's writing furiously.
My lord, pardon the intrusion and the interruption. Might I have a moment?
Lawrence, I did not know that you were awake. You were up.
It's only been quite recently that I've been able to walk. How do you fare in your recovery? Are you well?
Think not of me, brother. I visited many times, but you were, well, you were not awake. Most weren't.
Most will never be again. You say not to think of you, yet that is my sworn duty, to trust, to guard you, to ensure that your safety. I failed you. I failed us. If I had ridden into the battle with you as we had planned, none of this would have happened.
You did not fail me. And at great cost, we succeeded.
He'll kind of like scrunch his nose at that. Like he doesn't seem to be buying the fact that the loss doesn't have something to do with his performance in the battle. But he doesn't want to like press it, especially in the circumstances. He'll just kind of like shake his head slowly. I'm sure that you've been aware for some time now, but my brother.
Wyrick looks at you in the eyes. I had wanted to have been the one to have told you.
You have many things to attend to right now. I'm sure that this chaos has caused much trouble for you, and much things that need to be seen. I know in this time of need, I have no right to make a request, but if I can ask a favor of you, Lord.
You may, for I will be asking one afterwards. Speak.
His body, they've just kept it here in the dungeon. It's not right. He was a knight, trusted to you, trusted to a lord, a faithful warrior, and a faithful man. He deserves a better death than this one. I've talked with the maester. The nearest sept is quite far, High Point in White Hill. But if I could dare ask your leave, even as you need, I'm sure, every man that you have here. The North was never a place for him. It's not right. He would not rest well up here. He deserves a proper burial, one for his station and one for his belief. I would not take any other man from you, but if I could ask just a few days' leave to take his body to the sept.
You may have it. And I will join you.
Yeah, when you say you'll have it, he'll like breathe like a sigh of relief, like a huge amount of tension will like visibly fall, like his shoulders will fall as you grant the request. But then once you say that you'll join him, he'll like look up in surprise. Lord, are you certain? There's so much here that you have to attend to.
He was my brother too.
Yeah, Clarence will just pause for a moment, kind of like let that sink over, like wash over him. And he'll kind of shift to a look of more resolve to like stand up straight, perhaps for like the first time since he's gotten out of that bed, from the wounds. And he'll just look you back in the eyes and just say, "Thank you."
Willard will be arriving soon. He will be able to make the necessary duties light work. Now, the favor I would ask of you.
Of course, Lord.
You are sworn to me. And you are not only sworn to protect me, but you are sworn to always tell me the truth. I would ask that now. Was I wrong to press the attack, brother?
Clarence will turn away. Like he was already like emotional, just from having to like come to ask about his brother, and he like doesn't want to show that like side of him, like trying to stand like stoic. And now being asked this, it's clear that he's like quite uncomfortable about it. And, like bite his lip. Like gather his strength, like take a couple deep breaths in, like he's like visibly nervous about it, and like turn back, like wipe a hand up to like ensure that he has like no tears forming on the edge of his face. We knew that they had spikes to ward against a horse attack, that they had defenses. The plan was to draw them out, I thought, and then you gave the order to charge. It was risky. Sometimes the gods grant us favors for our chances, and sometimes they grant us curses. It's like his way of trying to say, like, he's trying to basically blame it on like misfortune, but in reality, there's probably some truth that he would be admitting that he didn't quite understand the order as it was given.
It was a risk. I saw an opportunity, at least I thought it was an opportunity. And we have made many charges, you and I, Lawrence, many charges against more foes than they.
There are people who whisper that by attacking through their sign for peace, that the gods have cursed us with failure. I don't know if I believe it, but it can't help weigh on my mind. Was there something that we did, that you did, that I did, or failed to do that caused all this? Or is it truly just that the curses of misfortune have fallen upon us in this fight? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. If you were right, if you were wrong, if we were lucky or unlucky. I'm sorry, Lord, I can't feel that my counsel is not accomplishing much at this time.
Your words have been what I've needed, Lawrence. And if I have resolved in one matter, then it is in this. They were iron-born. And any signs of peace from them were not to be trusted. I took a risk, and it cost us. But we won.
We did. We won. And sometimes, if you want to rise above your station and to grab the glory that is intended for you, and you have to make sacrifices. And sometimes those sacrifices can be dear to us. They can hurt more than anything. But we as knights, we do what our Lord commands, and our lords do what they think is best. And if you start to question that loyalty to the lords, to yourself, the moment that you question, that you fall into fear, indecision, that is the moment that you lose. That's the moment that you decide that your station, wherever it is, however low or high, is enough and that you will never go further. If our options are to do nothing and stay here, or to risk and move forwards, I would never begrudge you the choice to risk it. To risk me, to risk Martin, any of us. That is your right, and that is our duty. No matter how much pain that it can cause, you have to believe in your choices, or else we've already lost.
Warwick takes a step forward to Lawrence and puts a hand on his shoulder. Thank you. I would summon a council. This needs to be addressed, and it needs to be addressed quickly. If there are whispers, then I would address them. I want to make it very clear that what was done was for the good of everyone here.
I understand. I think it's a wise decision. This house needs to act as one. There's so much conflict with the culture that we've brought, you and I, and he'll like go to say Martin's name, but it'll like choke in his throat. There's too much dissension. I think some hard choices to unite us might be a benefit to all. And if that means compromise from us, learning some of the northern ways, maybe, or if it's showing them that we will do what we need to do regardless, I won't presume to make your choices for you. I'm not the lordly scholar that you are. But unity, I think, needs to be a concern.
You are right, Lawrence. We do bring many things back from the south, including what is to be done with those who would cause dissent. I would have word sent to my brother, all of my brothers, and my cousins. And for now, rest.
He'll kind of give a nod. The maester is worried that Martin's body will begin, and he'll just like leave it. Understood. If I have leave to make the journey, I'd like to make it soon, to ensure that there's something left to give when we make it there. If it pleases you, I'll make the arrangements that I might set out, with or without you, if there's too much that you have to do here. But it should be soon.
Let us see what this council brings. But you have my leave. Make whatever preparations you will require.
He'll nod at that. Thank you, Lord. If there's nothing else, I'll leave you to your business. I'll kind of like give a glance down at the parchment that you were like furiously writing on when he interrupted.
And with a nod, Warwick will return to his work.
Okay, so we want to do a gathering up for everybody, but I think probably first Willard would want to speak to Warwick privately. So you'd arrive back in Blackmere, Willard, after your journey from Warrington, and you would, I imagine, certainly see or sense anyway the sort of heavy feeling in the area, and you could pass by that sort of like barn being used to house much of the wounded, and I'm sure you could find Warwick.
Yeah, he'll probably ask for him through servants or whatnot, and hear that he is meeting with Sir Lawrence and overhearing rumor and whatnot, and coming to know of the death of Sir Martin. He'll leave at a time and bypass or detour via the rookery and see Maester Timos absent, obviously with his great many duties in the barn. He'll go to like the rattling, squawking cages and pick up what missives and ravens have come in his absence, and pocket them as well, wanting to speak with them with Warwick, his brother, before the council, before all. And he'll probably not loiter, but take his time on his way back around the Tor to the chambers of his brother, to give him time with Lawrence, knowing the two are like close friends in the time in the south. And so eventually he'll come later than what he'd arrived, to like nod to the guards at his brother's door to announce him, or to give him entry if it's able.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they'd stop you, and they'd let you in to speak with your brother.
Warwick, I came as soon as I received your raven.
Warwick shows no pretense like he would when he's been around the castle, the keep rather, before. He just shows what he's been through on his face. Thank you for coming, brother. These are dark times. We lost many. I lost many.
Many more of the enemy were slain, of greater skill than those we lost, and their weapons and arms greater than what many of our force possessed. You should examine your failures, brother, but don't be ignorant to your successes. You have lost to gain a victory. That's what a lord must do.
The people whisper.
When have they not?
They talk of this peace branch. I wonder, have we done the same with the Ironborn, have shown us such clemency
Do they announce their intentions before they reave the stony shore to carry away women and wealth that is not their own by the law of the king?
Exactly. But they are bound by their ways that they ceaselessly judge me against.
Our ways, brother, the old ways. Our people are ever superstitious. For good reason, no doubt. Does this worry you truly?
I rode from the front. I lead from the front. I do this to send a message.
That you are mortal? He'll point to your bandaged wounds.
That I'm not afraid to do what must be done.
Then let that be that.
I will summon a council. I would have my words known to all of them. We must take stock.
I have drawn up orders for other levies to be withdrawn sparingly from about the place, about the domain, to fill the losses. Busyness. Busyness is what is needed. People idle at the start of winter, when all is dour anyways, will brood long on these events. Other events must transpire, or else they will fixate upon them.
I would have something taken from the battle. Perhaps a small portion of the wealth, or maybe some food that we can spare to the families that lost people. They need to see that this meant something, that this was for something.
I could take what goods are excess to our requirements and have them sold in Warrendon for as best a price as possible, and then that distributed to the families who have lost, a widow's pension or the like, to see them through the hard months ahead. That would be well, brother, and I can see to it you have other more important business than the recompense for those duty who is owed. And at that he'll hand over the scrolls, place them down on the table.
Warwick looks at them and gives a thankful nod to you. We must proceed with the plans. I have dwelt long about the upcoming betrothals.
There is good word on that front, brother.
Speak.
Lord Riswell has agreed to parley of betrothal between our houses. Quite a gesture and quite a boon, something that should not be, he would say, ignored, as you know. His power is great in this region, and the prestige and honor for our house should Wyler be married to his son Beric would be much, and the safety of her years ensured, safe amongst the fortressed hills of the Barrow Kings. I would see Wyler at such a place. I think father would have liked to, and mother surely will. But we cannot afford such a thing unless, and then he gestures to the other ravens, which bear various colors from their various neighbors. What they will charge as dowry will be beyond our means. Unless you, brother, marry and gain dowry for yourself and our coffers, and myself and Elston. To that end, Lord Dace, Lady Whitehill, Lord Bowl have all agreed to parley further of marriage proposal, as has, and at this he hesitates, and will gesture forward the raven scroll with the broken white and blood red ink crusted upon it. Lord Holt will accept no marriage to his daughter Aya, but your own hand, Lord.
Warwick just looks out of the window and he sees from this height, their meager holdings. And he thinks about what that means. We must all do our duty, brother.
I have my thoughts upon these, brother, but they need your consideration of the utmost.
I trust your judgment, I always have.
When you spoke to cousin about, he'll go to say squirrel and then banish the improper title and say Lady Aria.
He has feelings of passion towards her. He loves her.
He least restraining of his passion in this hold fast.
And have you known him to ever restrain his passion, brother?
With what restraint would he do so?
Where he nods, and then he sort of just runs his hands across his face. You can see clearly hasn't been sleeping very much.
Lord Cregan sent Lady Aria with me to journey here to winter at Blackmere Tor, the daughter of a noble lord of an ancient blood, here to be protected and served by us to foster goodwill amongst the neighbours who owe their fealty to the Starks. Lord Holt gives us great honour by considering our terms. I hope that we respect and return that honour with our treatment of our ward.
I would have confirmation of this sent to Lord Holt immediately.
Of what exactly, brother?
That I will marry.
You will not consider Whitehill or Volan resolved to propose to Lady Aria?
I don't know what to think anymore, brother.
He goes to speak defiance at such talk, but it catches in his throat and he'll just like simmer back to silence, but his eyes speak.
Speak openly, brother. This is the time.
Brother, you do not need me to tell you that your duty, the weight of your responsibility can feel unbearable, but you must endure it, you must think, and you must do. Stillness and ruin will see us fester before winter when we are weakest. There will be time to sleep, but now is the time to think. You've called a council, and we must have things to put forth and action to take, that you seem direct and of purpose and resolved.
I agree to what you say, brother. It shall be done.
And if you will have me send the Raven to Lord Holt, what will you do with Ulfston and the matter between him and Arya?
I will tell him directly.
I'll go at once and send what replies I may. The rest we can discuss at council. I'll leave you a time, my lord.
And with that, Warwick just returns to just staring out the window.
So I have it right. The intention is to have Warwick marry Arya Holt and ignore the others?
No, respond to the others. Of course, I'll agree to go or us agree at some point to go journey to the Riswells as he'd asked, and to
Yeah.
speak in person of the matter of Willa and Beric, but not before the matter of the other three of us are set in place, so we know
Okay.
what funds we're working with to dowry her.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm imagining it will be steep. I'm thinking of Bol and Dace to send ravens to continue further talks with them, to Bol to say that we will come in person as he demanded and not speak further by ravens of the matter. And like an eloquent and polite response to Dace's missive,
Yeah.
and further, like what might be a good time for us to come soon and visit them, or that we might host them in our domain.
Okay. And Whitehill?
Whitehill, I'll send a letter to say that we are sending a Knight of the Seven who seeks sanctum at her sept, and that Lord Wirrick would be going with him to journey to visit with her if she is receptive, that they may speak further of not only these matters I've mentioned, but of neighbourly matters and such as well.
Okay.
I got the impression from her message that she's quite direct and upfront about the kind of measure she expects, and I don't think we'll be able to fulfill that in several different ways. But I don't want to offend her by not extending the hand of friendship and meeting and such, especially considering we're going to seek the services of her vassals in the way of the Septon and such. So,
you reckon there's no way that she would accept marriage from anyone who's not Wirrick, you know?
Of course.
Way.
Yeah, and Wirrick and it seems she wants like some investment of him proffered to her as well, which they're going to be unioned anyway, but it makes sense as far as like putting forth proof that he can have resource, which we can't because we need a wall in Warrington, and that's going to bankrupt us. So that's that's the four I'll send, and then the others I guess we can discuss at council and get everyone's thoughts to how we might deal with them. But the rest seem pretty clear from that meeting anyway, and so I'll send those ravens.
Cool. All right. We might take a quick break before we go to our council.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool. All right. We'll be back in 5. That's a buttery session.
Greasy.
Very juicy. I'm looking forward to Alpha being told about the wedding. It's going to be fun.
Oh yeah, I'm actually dreading that.
If it'll change anything.
The 8 ball says not likely.
Yeah. So I'm right in thinking that
So whether we
Lord Werrick is going to go to
right.
Highpoint. Did I hear it right that Werrick is going to go to High Point with Lawrence?
I think he was going to catch up with him, and they were going to travel together. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
What an epic montage that's going to be, man. Man,
Just
this
north
is
through
such.
Volan lands where those brigands are on the way to High Point that we know about, that I want to action, but
What could
it is
go
what
wrong?
it is.
Man, what delicious buttery candied popcorn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sprinkles of fermented fish guts, just like thrown in for good measure. So good.
Yeah, it's one of those sessions where as a GM I'd have to do very little. It's very nice. You can just like set some wheels in motion and sit back. The best.
Maybe one day, Nico. Some epic 24-hour charity event. Yeah, it strikes me as the sort of pilgrimage that the Lord of the Land wants to make, but would have a lot of difficulty, like I was saying, like splitting his time.
What do they call that? Like a procession or something, where like the king would do it a lot, where he would like go to visit all these different houses and stuff to shake hands and kiss babies and stuff like that. So Rob, you're going to go to High Point as well, are you?
I think I'm going to see how the council goes.
Okay.
But It would be his wish, but at the same time, it isn't. It is obviously apparent to me that there's a lot of work to be done here. So I'm going to see how it goes.
Okay. All right, I think we're all back.
Yep.
So in that room with the nice table, you can gather everybody. Oh, maybe you'd have to do it in the Great Hall, actually, because I don't think Alfie could make it upstairs.
Alfie would force his way up.
And definitely injure the foot further.
Yeah. He'd be
there would have also been
sort of semi-conscious during the first half an hour, but he'll make his way up. He's soft up, you know.
There definitely would have been a point, a couple of hours maybe, or a couple of minutes even after Jeremy left, that he would come over to look at your foot and be like, what has happened here? And like have to pull out all of the poultice and like put on his actual medicine instead. He would be furious about it. But yeah, so between maybe some concerted effort, you're able to bring everybody into this room and sit around a great table and discuss what's to be done.
Yeah, Wyrick would wait until everyone was assembled. And I imagine it's very quiet. And he sits. And he leans back and rests one arm on the table in front of him. We saw a victory on the Howling Hills. But it cost us. I took a risk. And for it, we won. But it has not escaped my notice that there appears to be a feeling of unease. We must grieve for those that we have lost. But I would know if there are thoughts that would be shared to me directly. This is the time for you to speak and to tell your Lord what is on your mind. He's just looking around.
Alfstan lowers his foot from the block of from the log that he's sort of taken from the fireplace to rest his foot on. He lowers his foot to the ground and grabs hold of the side of the table, and by upper body strength pulls himself to a sort of semi-standing position and says, Lord Wyrick, we have won a victory over the Ironborn, and we have shown the Ironborn that they will have no quarter in Slate lands. Though no victory can be won without some sacrifice, but I think in this hall, I speak for myself. I have no doubts that it was in your decision. I know there are small folk and others who whisper and will be concerned about some of the changes and some of the things that have happened. But the people, if we speak to the troops, if we send a clear message to the guards and to the to the recruits that this was a great victory and a worthwhile victory, then they can pass this message around in the amongst the families when they visit, and the other folks, to counter any doubts that may be brewing outside the castle walls. Inside the castle walls, I do not fear. I do not think the victory has death always is a blow to morale, but the victory is more than a counterbalance to that. And he sits down again, looking grey.
Cousin. Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
I was just gonna say, Larence would like stand up. If I might dare to address the lords, Larence will like say, acknowledging that he's like not the one in power here, but will still speak. I agree wholly with what Lord Alston has spoken. I've been around military folk, the small folk that are levied, all my life. As a knight, I've had my fair share of it. I've seen them. There's one thing above all that in times of chaos that they need to be able to look towards, to see, to trust. That is a unity of opinion, of outlook amongst the lords and the commanders. If one of us says one thing and another whispers another behind their back, it will only sow distrust amongst the commoners, amongst the soldiers. They need to know that how we act, that what we do is wholly in service to Lord Wirrick's commands. That even as we argue in this room, perhaps at what the best choices and options might be, that no matter what the outcome is, no matter what is decided upon by the Lord, at the moment we leave this room, we say the same things, we act the same way about the decisions that have been made. The more disunity that we have, the more that their distrust will grow. The more their loyalty might fall into question, and the moment that trust is broken, it can never be restored. I think that the most important thing is that we focus, as Lord Alston has said, on the positives, the victories, on making our opinions, our stances, our celebrations one. And if we all follow Wirrick's commands, and the small folk will see our unity, they will follow our commands, they will trust us. But if that falls, everything will fall. And I'll sit down.
Those are fine words, Sir Larence. Fit for these halls. You are right in this respect, cousin. He looks at Alstan. But this was a victory, not a great victory. We lost people. But we lost them in doing what had to be done. We cannot allow the Ironborn, or indeed any of our enemies, to walk unchallenged in our lands. This is the precedent that I wanted to set, that I have set. And you are correct, Larence, that if we are to prosper, we are to do it as one. We must join. And we must join with others to further cement our position here. My good brother, Willett, has before him the plans of betrothals in the near future. Brother, would you kindly do us the honors present to us in full all plans of marriages in the future.
He'll nod and reach for the first broken scroll. It's got white and red wax upon it. Lord Wylod, friendly greetings from Ironholt. It is joyful to hear from you. We're of the same mind on the subject of my daughter. I do know that Arya has a long-standing friendship with Alston Slate, though as I understand it, he is not a son of Lord Wylam. I am amenable, enthused even, at the prospect of bringing our houses together, but I must insist that Arya, as heir to Ironholt, be given the rank entitled to her by her station, and marry Lord Wyrick. I look forward to negotiating with you further. And he'll place it down and reach for the black and red, the one class with black and red wax.
There's heavy breathing from down the end of the table.
From House Bowl, Slate, I do not promise my daughter to any man I have not met and drank ale with. Send to the roost the boy who might be worthy of her. And he'll place that down. From House Riswell, Lord Slate, a fine thing to hear from you. The possibility of Beric and your lady sister betrothing is something I had not considered, and yet it does seem a good match. They are of an age, and more ties with my little subjects can only bring greater prosperity to our realm. Invite you to the Rills, that Wyler and Beric may have a chance to meet, and that you and I may negotiate. I find it vulgar to do so by Raven. Better to see a man's eyes, nay. You'll place that one down and draw the grey and red sealed one from House Dace. An auspicious pleasure to hear from you. The uniting of our two houses would indeed be a great boon to us. My daughter, the Lady Wyra, is as yet unmarried, and though we're in negotiations with other houses, including House Ryder and House Bowl, they are receptive. Beyond that, my boy Oren is unwed. They seek a dutiful, and if I may be so bold, beautiful wife for him. I would relish the chance to find either of them a suitable match. We are truly spoiled with suitors. My preference is, of course, for Lord Wyrick himself, though with the right considerations a match with yourself, Lord Wylard, would potentially be agreeable. I look forward to entering negotiations. From House Branch, Slate, your house has no sigil, no words, and no honour. Where was House Slate when the ice turned red? There'll be no marriage between our houses. You'll place that down next to the Whitehill one, which reads, Blessings of the Seven upon you, Lord Slate. Your courteous tone and fine manners are well received here, and my heart swells at the vanity of your offer of marriage. As you may know, I am rather an eligible woman, and so would certainly consider such a union, but you'll forgive me for being so vulgar, I pray. The offer would need to be substantial in order for me to consider it. What can House Slate provide me that others cannot? I do so look forward to hearing from you, and pray that the Father shall guide you in his wisdom. That is all we have received thus far, but others may come in the days to follow.
Alfstan has a bitter look on his face and is staring hard at the table, trying to bore a hole through the table. His muscles are slightly clenched, but he's grey, but he's saying nothing.
Many of us here are of an age and unwed, which is not fit. It should be so that we all have wives, and that Wyler is married well, to solidify House Slate's future. The influx of people and wealth and supplies will inure us against the winter to come and allow us to prosper through alliance to that end. There are many proposals that I would like to discuss and draft for each of us, even despite our current grief and pain and trials. And he looks between Wyrick and Lawrence as he says that. He'll look to Wyrick to see if he wishes to speak of Lady Arya.
Would Lady Arya be present? Sorry.
No, not
if
at
you
your
wish
council.
it to be, but yeah,
But this is like a council of your advisors and stuff, so I wouldn't think she'd be here.
No, okay, that's sorry. I just had to double check. I just suddenly thought. Yeah, well, after the full reading and all this time, I'm pretty sure that Wyrick would have just been doing exactly the same, but staring at Alstan, because he's just watching for a reaction and he's just seeing it all over his face.
Yeah,
And he is biting his tongue.
He's no poker player, Alfstan. You can see he's sort of racked with despair and torment and anger. But he's just sitting there at the moment, waiting to hear.
Yeah, in that case, Willard will fill the silence with the idea of his drafts for proposals. He agrees with his brother Wyrick that he should propose to Lady Arya and unite the twin realms of Ironholt and Blackmere. Alston should be sent to Bowl to curry favour and see if there can be alliance by marriage there. Myself to House Dace, to Lake Hall. And once all of those have been consolidated, and if they fail, other matches found, then we can use the combined dowries of that to offer for Riswells to gain alliance and trade and strength through bonds with them. But he's keen to hear the council's thoughts on the matter, having only read these ravens earlier this afternoon. He'll have them put upon the table for those literate to read over the messages again at will. He'll stay standing though and say, Lawrence, on behalf of the council, my condolences. We grieve for you and your loss. It is great to our house, but we cannot know the pain that sears in you from it. His sacrifice will not be forgotten by any of us.
Thank you, Lord. The condolences of the house do mean well for me. He's not sure like how to say it, but he'll just like say it. I've spoken with Wyrick. He's given me permission to take my brother's body to the Sept on White Hill. I plan to leave in the morning to see that he's properly buried, as a knight of his station should be. It's not right for him to stay here in this place. No insult meant to this place, but I'm sure you understand the power of custom.
I do. I wish you well on your journey, and I'll see to it that you have what you need and anything else that the household can spare. Lady White. Oh, sorry, you go.
Each man must honour his dead in his own customs, and I respect you for it. And I would, before you leave, I would like to pay my respects to your brother. He was a brave warrior, and though I knew little of him, and I saw him fight, and he's deserving of respect. Although I will not accompany you to your sept, I would say a farewell to your brother before he leaves. And
it would be an honor for you to give your respects to him. I'd much appreciate if you did. I'd ask no one else to come with me. I know that House Slate yearns for the next step, and that I don't think those steps should be delayed or men taken from their task to aid me on this journey or see me there. I'm more than capable of it. And then once I return, my loyalty and my sword will be at the Lord's command, of course, as it always has been.
Sir Lawrence, I had said to you that I wish to accompany you, for Martin, while sworn to me, he was one I would call a brother. But in this time of difficulty within Blackmere, it is my sworn duty to remain here. And so I would accompany Alstan and say some words.
A lord's place is in his halls, never more than in time of need. Your duties and your thoughts, your attention is best served here with Slate.
He nods. There is a bright future ahead of us. And no doubt, there will be more sacrifices to make. But I would like to make this clear. In that respect, you all and I are no different. If you are bleeding, I will be bleeding. If you are dying, I will be dying. We fought side by side, and we will do so again. And he stands.
My lord. Lord. And he looks down. Jeremy looks down the table. Lord. And he'll pause a bit at Sir Larence and say, Lord. Lord. It's true, and it's fine words, if I may say, my lord, to speak of sacrifice and blood spilt. But there's grief enough after the battle, to be sure. And what with winter coming, the small folk are apt to whisper and guess at how it will go, and well, it could be that some of them are a little worried about the peace flag and the charge and that, and well, he'll look over at Elfston.
Nodding at you.
What with all these great changes, and you up from the south, and some people think you don't honor the old ways, and I set 'em right quick, my lord, of course, but, well, you see, I was thinking actions speak so much louder than words sometimes, my lord, and there's the old right of the drawing of your wisdom tooth and hammering it into the tree, you know. It's a sacrifice, of course, but it also shows that you draw your wisdom from the old ways too, see? And perhaps if you could tell the small folk how, like those fine words you just spoke, and show with one of your teeth in the tree, then, well, I think it would help a lot, my lord. But, of course, it's not my place, and, I was just thinking, and, maybe a stupid idea anyway. Sorry, my lord.
Snow, I honor the old ways. You saw yourself that I plunged the heart of a wolf into the great tree. But I think you very wise and of this land, Snow. And I agree such a gesture would resonate with the people. Actions oft do speak louder than words. And like he looks between Jeremy and Alstan. Actions that would be seen, and he gives a smile. I would arrange a procession. Let all see me drive a tooth into the tree.
Oh, and we have laid the fallen in the barrow, between the sea and the stones, and started cutting the wood as you asked. So some building at the Howling Hills has started. But if you have any other commands to that, my lord.
So correct me if I'm. So what were we building in the Howling Hills? Was it sort of like a watchtower or a?
Yeah, a wooden watchtower on top of those stone foundations. The rest of the stone we're going to pillage for the walls at Warrenden,
That's right.
which I wanted to pass at this council as well.
Yeah, in that case, he'll look to Willard and so he could make his points about that.
Yeah, I have spoken with builders and labourers in Warrenden, and my thought was to take stone from the Howling Hill to shore up Warrenden and make a stone tower house around which a palisade can be built to girt the town and protect it through the winter. Pay the fishermen who cannot sail in the winter seas to work through the winter. Of course, no one will be coming to the port over winter, so the money they spend will be tithed. So 10% at least of our the cost of which we can barely but just afford will be returned to us, in addition to the weekly tithe, which is 200 silver at this stage, give or take, each week, which is like 3 times what our starting treasury was. And so unless there's any objections, he'd like work for that to be completed as soon as possible. We can harvest wood from our own lands or from the Vollen to the north, who are in sore need of coin, to take lumber to Howling Hill and complete a watchtower there that can stand as a buy point between our two realms. But haven't costed or got an idea of how we can do that. But I'm assuming in a similar kind of fashion as how we could wall Warrenden with the excess maritime labour.
Yeah, where possible, we should build with stone because it's free. Imagine
Free from Howling Hill.
Yeah.
And the thing is, stonemason and the skilled craftsman, which is where a lot of the cost is, it seems.
Yeah.
But we certainly can, and we've got the resource.
It's much cheaper for you to build out of stone than it would be if you didn't have stone handy nearby.
Yeah.
But I think it's still expensive in terms of
the wall that we're getting is I'm very, very it's very generous, but it's obviously we have a lot of stone, so there goes a lot of our cost. So, and I think that the wooden curtain is actually achievable, whereas the stone curtain, there's no way that's going to be ready by even the end of winter, realistically.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for a stone tower house and then wooden curtain, and then we can build it later on down the track into something better.
As far as stone walls go, I think a dressed mortared wall is one thing, but everyone around here would be a dab hand at doing dry stone walling. So that's
but dry stone walls wouldn't really stand up to an assault, right? They're really for boundaries and stuff. If I'm thinking the same thing you are, which is just stacking stones on top of each other, kind of.
It's a question of scale. Yeah, I mean it's not like a siege thing, but it's you can build them however big you want, and you can do them some of those dry stone walls, in England.
Japanese castle dry stone walls.
Yeah, my thinking is we could raise up earth in between the gaps of the ruined stone farmhouses at Howling Hill, and then fortify a wall on that so it becomes an irregular triangular fort, and then build a watchtower in the center of that to kind of look over and hold up while messages are relayed. But I think it's more important to harvest stone from Howling Hill to wall Warrenden before we do that, because Warrenden's where all the wealth is, and Howling Hills is
nothing
but strategic potential. So that's my thinking with that, and then we can cost out afterwards. It's going to cost 1,700 silver, which is we have 2,017 silver.
Wow.
Total. Yep. And I had toyed with the idea of a sept at Howling Hills or in Warrenden because it's on the coast, so it might be frequented and draw people to upkeep it and protect it. but the cost realistically of a sept is in like many thousands.
Yeah,
you know,
it'll be
and
much more than a stone wall even.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time too, like over 6 months. So that is like, it's essentially impossible for us at any like foreseeable stage.
I mean, you could build a wooden sept in the meantime for
A
like if you
shrine or
want,
something.
yeah. But a stone sept is like, because it has to be 7-sided and it requires an architect, I think, and like.
Mhm.
You know.
How much do we look to make in returns through marriages? Because if we're only left a small, cofferful, then we're...
Yes. Yeah, that's true. But even 2,000 silver as we have it, like, is not going to be an appropriate dowry to pay the Riswells for Wyla to Beric.
Yeah.
So it's like, whether we have 2,000 or 200, like, we like can't rely on our coffers to pay the dowries. It will have to be the dowries that we get for us 3 unwed and possibly Lawrence, to collectively be enough to appease Riswell. We also have 2 Destriers left that I don't think we'll be able to realistically upkeep through winter, so that might be able to assuage a lot of the cost with Riswell. It'll be desirable to them and worth together like 2,000 plus silver pieces. So that's my thinking with that.
The horses that were, those horses wouldn't have made it that like fell.
Yeah, no, I've got
the
the losses of the Destriers. It is actually 2 left. I said it was 1 left yesterday, but when I looked at the notes, it's 2. But like that might have to go on the altar of marital sacrifice, like us all.
Well, we harvested them for meat to be dried and salted as well.
Yeah, I mean the ones that would have like hit the spikes or fallen in the Howling Hills, like they're not getting like they would be dead after that,
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but we can cut up their meat.
Yeah, for sure.
For the hard times.
What provision can we make for those affected by the battle, those who have lost their loved ones?
I believe that Candlemasters like reimburse the widows or families of the fallen with a silver piece each, though this won't be enough to see them all the way through winter. I think they should be able to, like the widows or next of kin of the fallen, if they are of Slate land, should be able to petition you at a council of this sort for their needs be met, unless you want to contemplate paying them a stipend, which could spiral out if we are successful in the future and expand.
The people grieve. I would see their faces. Of course, I will hold counsel for all who would wish to put their... And he sort of waves his hands.
Their concerns before you. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yep, and you can recompense them out of what like money we have left in the coffers or with what goods we have. We have excess gear and supply of like from the loot, of weapons and armor and such, which is in excess to our capacity to levy. So I think we should sell all that and then use the funds from that to compensate the families of those who have fallen and to pay the families of those currently in the levy who will be risking themselves in the weeks to come. Sorry to cut you off, Koi, but I just like to get that in there as well.
Oh yeah, no, I was just going to say Jeremy would say, I didn't rightly know what was proper, my lords, but they came out to the Howling Hills, some of them, and I couldn't turn them away empty-handed, so to speak. So I gave over a silver coin each, such as I had.
All through the council, this last bit, Alstan's been listening, but he's clearly sort of still fighting to kind of control strong passions and avoiding looking at Willard.
To the point where Willard would notice?
You're perceptive, yes, I think so.
Yeah, I think he's on a 19 passive.
Yeah. Or insightful or whatever it is. Alfie's no poker face.
Would I detect like that you just dislike the plans as they are, or would I notice that there's like some other like deeper rift that due to maybe a closer proximity between you and Arya than we might have previously thought?
If you like.
Maybe not then.
Well, we kind of already know. I mean, like, that's kind of what Warwick said to you before this. But
Yeah.
it's difficult to really say, isn't it?
Yeah, or maybe I'll just say like so with the drafts of message responses as they currently stand, and does anyone have any objection or anything to add with like this perceived course of action?
Clarence will stand. Lords, my lords, Wylard, Warwick. My journey to White Hill is one of mourning, but I can't help but feel that any man who's able must be put to cause right now. And I'll look directly at Wylard, kind of knowing he's more of the one engaging in a lot of these specific plans. We'll just say, if there's any business that you wish me to represent you on in White Hill, you can let me know. And once Martin is seen to, I can take time away to speak with the lords or ladies there if it's needed. Otherwise, I'll take my times.
Yeah, I would not wish to hold you further, but we'll say if you can treat with Lady Whitehill and then do so representing us and find comfort there if you can, where you may, and bring some wisdom or something back from there, perhaps. And if there's anything else you need in addition to the cart and the horse and maybe some servants and guards, let us know. And otherwise, you can head off at once.
I'll try to make arrangements to meet with her. If you want to send a raven ahead of me to let them know, that may help. Otherwise, I'll see what I can do when I make it there and once Martin is seen to.
You will take a squire, I assume. Anyone else?
I guess how if I would know, or I guess someone at the council would know, would the roads to White Hill be known as anything particularly sketchy?
They're
Like what I
dangerous.
need?
That's why I ask out
defensive?
of concern.
Yeah,
There's no brigandry. Sorry, look.
They definitely are sketchy. You're going to have to go through Voddenlands and then through the mountains, which is like prime brigands and bandit territory.
Yeah, perhaps
it's
another
not-
way. Yeah. What if
The
we
other
could go
way-
by ship?
Yeah, I mean, well, they're in the mountains, so you won't be able to get to.
Yeah, but we could just take ship to Bowl and go straight, like cut
Yeah,
straight
we could do
inland to
Or
White
you
Hill,
could
and that would
go-
avoid the brigandry.
Yep, or you could go across towards Date and then up.
Yep.
But that's more mountains, which might be harder in terms of a journey.
I think too, because it's a body deteriorating. Like the by sea should be quickest, I
Yeah,
imagine.
it would be. If you go up
So
to
what-
where Bowl is and then straight across, it'll be quickest.
What about then if I accompany you, Sir Lawrence, we'll go at once to Warrenden by horse and then by ship north and then cut across for the most direct route to get your brother to the Sept for the orisons and funereal rites of the Seven.
If that suits your own business best, then of course you are welcome. It would be an honor for your company. Otherwise, if your services would do better elsewhere,
And if Elfston, if you have no objections to the proposal between yourself and Lady Bowl for marriage, you could accompany us and be dropped there upon the way.
There's a grim, just a sort of grey nod of acquiescence.
And I'll see it prepared at once.
If I might, my lords, it's well known that Elfston's the surest hand for drawing teeth. Perhaps before he
I'm
leaves.
surprised at that.
Is there surely more than several tooth pullers in our domain?
Like the Maester.
Martin is decaying. Are you insinuating we should delay and have personally Alston pull Wirrick's tooth?
Oh, sorry, are you saying that to Jeremy?
Yeah, to Jeremy and Chloe.
Well, personally, I just want to see Elfston rip out one of Merrick's teeth.
Then if there's no further business, let us have the tooth ripping now and be off.
I think
It's a
that the
thing like us with family members.
ripping out of a wisdom tooth is like not something you can do with your hand, so you definitely need
Yeah.
tools.
Pliers,
Yeah.
2 people.
Yeah,
Maybe
several people to hold him down. And I guess there's no the maester's not involved, right? Because he would be able to make sure like that if you pull the tooth that nothing's going to get infected and whatnot. But I think it's really just been a case of like you just get someone strong to pull the tooth out.
Warriors and such. If so, Jeremy thinks that this will go some way to appeasing people's cultural concerns about it. Does Willard think that that will happen? That the tooth pulling and driving into a tree will make the peasants think other than what they do and whisper other than what they do about what's transpired at Howling Hills?
Might do something.
In that case, we should just do it. It's a tooth that may have to come out in the future anyway if you've still got it, Wyrick. So little to lose but some pain, which might be worth showing in a PR kind of way.
Yeah.
Presumably we can do it quick if we've got a strong enough people, right? We can get the blacksmith with some pliers to just yank it out real quick and have it drilled in. I'm sure Alston is an excellent tooth puller, but he has a broken foot. I doubt he's going to be walking up to the mere to pull out a tooth to drive into a tree with like a sword through his ankle, like breaking his foot. So, and time is of the essence because of our need, and also because Martin is decaying. Like he's been dead for 2 days, so we need to get him.
Yeah, and without anyone to like embalm the body the way that the Sun Sisters do, it's going to get gross really quick, I think.
Yeah. Going by any mountain path seems recipe for putrefaction.
Well, we can gut him and stuff him with salt and herbs.
You can. I'm not going to go do that. Lawrence might disembowel me. So if that's the case, then if there's no other business, should we go to the mirror and have the tooth pulling and then go us three?
Well, when we're quite done discussing my dentistry, are we quite sure I don't want a maester present?
We'll have the maester come along. Let's have the maester there as well. It's good for him to see it and be present. He's on this council and is of rank.
I'd quite like the maester to come. That's all right. Just yeah, I think that's something that I would like. Fine, it's got to be done, and the warriors doing it is an excellent message. But I think Wyrick would make sure that the maester will not be far behind.
There should be a surgeon here.
Yep, well, you can do that, and Timas can bring his necessary tools to clean out the wound and stuff afterwards. And he would even I guess quietly say to you before you get there that if you want some milk of the poppy before you go, he can sort that out.
No, maester. I must feel this.
And it will be agonizing, Lord.
I expect it will.
As Willard is collecting up his things after the council, have we finished the council?
Unless there's something else.
Cool. I'll begin the building of the wall and send all those ravens and prepare for the journey, and I'm good.
As Willard is writing his ravens and things, in comes Alfie. You hear his heavy breathing, and he's sort of stumbling down the corridor as he's coming towards you, your chamber. Then he opens the door. These marriages were your plans, weren't they?
Yes, they were.
Oh, and I'm sure they're very intelligent, but I also know your heart is slate and feels no love or grief or passion, and you take some small joy in killing such things in other people. In the north, they talk of whites, of dead men walking. You are one, and he slams the door and walks off.
Willard will look back to his scroll and sign from Lord Willard Slate. This is the one that's addressed to Bol, telling them that Alston will be coming north quite soon with them, and he'll seal that with the grey slate and then the white inlay, thinking of Alston's words ringing over. You're a slate and you have a hard heart and things of that nature, and thinking that good feedback and proof that his tutelage in the time of the Starks was was worthwhile and somewhat preparatory for what's to come.
Beric, the Whistler, will like look to you and sort of like, is this okay? Will I let him go? Will I go after him?
Oh, of course, it's best he vent this way than others. He'll no doubt come to another perspective on the matter, but for now it's best to hear his wrath. It is deserving, and it better to fall upon me than Wirrick or others. Don't you think? I thought you would. He won't finish that sentence, but I imagine he like gives a little laugh, and Beric gives a wet, gross, like tongueless laugh.
Yeah.
You'll come with us, I think, unless you're. He won't finish that sentence either about the fear of water, given the circumstances of how he and Beric met.
Yeah, he'll shrug and then nod.
Jeremy will organise some stout men to like carry Elphiston to the tree. Or it's best they're able anyway. Save his foot in time for the tooth pulling. And if he has time, actually, he would probably seek out Willard. Maybe after that.
Easy to find. I'm
Yeah.
flat out with paperwork and preparing for this journey.
Yeah, maybe after he goes to share a word with Elphiston as he kind of storms off and stumbles down the passage past him, caught up in his own rage.
Yes,
Lord,
from ages away, because I've never been quiet, and now I've got only one leg.
Yeah, so he would knock on the door. It had been slammed shut.
Come in.
Lord,
Nope. Have you dropped?
Quote?
did I? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Lord Willard, I just want to. I heard that you were set upon by the Ironborn between here and Warrenden.
That is untrue. Come in, sit down. Will you take food and drink?
He'll think back to
We'll take some for your kin, and he'll gesture for Beric to go and get it, so that it's just us two.
and he'll think back to Ma Breese's words on salt and bread, and partake as quickly as possible of food.
No, I killed those men upon the road. Well, I gave the order that such should happen, so it is my hand the blood is on. Not the Northmen, though surely, certainly, death and peril would have come to us the longer that they festered in our land, less than a day from Blackmere Tor. Those men I believed to be guilty of crimes to our house and family. I took liberty from my position and had them killed. My brother knows of this, and now you know of this, and now you'll know the why of this, because the people needed to be mobilized and motivated against the Ironborn, and better that they go in response to perceived violence to us than the potential of one to come. They needed to be expunged, and the Howling Hills claimed, that place explored and built upon. And those men extorting my fool of an uncle needed to die as well, though they may not have been guilty. Their books, if you come to know them, will prove the matter, but for now I trust you'll take my word as a member of House Slate and a loyal follower of my brother.
Books, you say? I think Jeremy's eyes are slowly going wider and wider as he's listening to this account. And he kind of pauses mid-chew and leans back in his chair. Well, I weren't no friend to the Winches, that's true, but
You'll have no worry for Harlech Winch. He'll not assail you or your friends or family any longer.
I thought maybe 'cause I feathered a few of them, they attacked, and then that's why you charged him under the peace flag.
From what I hear, the only thing you did wrong was not feather enough of them. You killing those men was service to this house, and no folly that brought peril to us, so banish such thoughts. And the order to charge was given by our Lord, as is his right, given his rank and experience. We lost, but we gained, as is the way of war. A man throws down his weapons or drives himself to his knees when he yields, and he offers a branch of parley when he wishes to twist fate, and not for the betterment of the one across the field from him. And from what Darren tells me, the plan before the battle was to charge them down without mercy and accept no parley.
Well, of course you're right, my lord. I don't recall much mention of parley, but that's why it took me unawares, like being of the old ways. But well, these plans. It's a lot to take in. But one thing I would say, my lord, is, well, we could have done it a bit more cunning-like, you know?
Agreed, he'll say, and he'll reach under his desk and pull out some different shaped rocks that he has, and upon the parchment he'll spill some ink down and draw vague or rude contours of the Howling Hill. So I've had those thoughts myself, given reports from from the sergeants and from Darren. What do you propose, Snow?
Well, it's all said and done now, my lord, but these men were hungry and hard-pressed. There was a lot we could have done to make them come round or grow weaker still. Like, I mean, I'm a hunter, not a soldier, but we could have taken up the high ground and trapped them in those rocks till they grew thirsty and tired. But
draw them out of their entrenched position.
yeah, or force them to make a hard bargain, but I couldn't see there was no doing that, perhaps. But if there's bandits in the future, my lord, perhaps we should save the charges for the battlefields, you know?
I'll speak to my brothers on this. It is sage counsel and should be heard. For now, I want you to foster and harbour such stratagems with the levies under your tutelage to be trained in the bow and crossbow. We might employ that strategy with men of that substance and training, and your own way of thinking in this matter, hunting, as it were, he'll say in like a grim tone.
Right, you are, my lord. Sorry for taking up your time. He'll say, pointing to all the letters and
Please, take it. He'll say genuinely. My father kept you around from a young age, close to him, for no reason. For no ill reason, I'm sure. For a good one.
Well, yeah. I wondered at that myself sometimes, but
then again, he did keep Frederick, and he'll tap his lip with the stylus.
I think he thought I was a good listener.
Maybe it was for your sage counsel when it finally comes out. These words please me, and I too would think of doing things differently next time. I'll speak to my brother of this and our stratagems going forward, but keep to the training of your men with this in mind.
Yeah, so he'll do one more dry swallow of the bread, hard bread, and he'll look up to the whistler standing in the shadows in the back of the room, and then back to the Lord, and he'll tug his forelock, and then take his leave.
Before you go, Snow, for your retainer, and he'll put 7 gold pieces in a sack into your hand. it was good initiative to pay the widows without the Lord's consent and of your own pocket. Such things are desirable moving forward, and you'll like put another hand on top of your hand so that you take the silver.
Yeah, well, I'm not knowing what color the coin is in the pouch anyway. He'll weigh it again, and now it'll be like almost added to his burdens. He's like, how am I going to get rid of this now?
As
And,
you see fit's been well enough so far.
right you are, my lord. I'll see you at the tree.
That you will.
So it's raining heavily as like people squelch through the muck towards the grove. Is the intent to bring like a lot of the people here, like to watch this ceremony, or is it like?
I think so.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy would have spread word.
Yeah, so like then there's like a bit of hubbub and excitement, and as is usual when you like gather enough people in this part of the world, like someone has brought like instruments and things, and there's music and people are like sort of chatting, but they're all gathered, and as they kind of like enter into the actual grove, all of that stops and it becomes quite severe and quiet, and there's a sort of wonder about the place, about the people as they're in this place. There's a sort of quiet that comes upon everyone when they're in front of or in the vicinity of the weirwood trees. And so there's just like hush falls over the assembled people. And Alfie has been with some effort, and maybe at this stage, like someone's made it from crutches, helped here. And you stand, as many of the people sort of stand in the rain, though they don't sort of make any complaint. And many of them don't even like put up hoods or anything. They're just kind of here in the moment. And many of them are staring at the weirwood, which they probably don't get to see very often.
Wyrick stands forward, having made the decision to do the talking before the tooth removal, for obvious means. Sorry, Caius, go ahead.
No, I'm disagreeing with your decision. It's not such a good speech.
Exactly. So Wyrick will be speaking before it happens. The rain is running down his face as he stands before the accrued people, and he says, "There is wisdom to be found in all places of this world, and here today I embrace the old ways once again." And I commit the wisdom tooth from the back of my mouth to be a act of devotion to that very meaning, the wisdom of the old ways. Let it be seen here. And he turns, Lloyd, is there anything for him to like hold on to or something, or is he just got to stand there?
I reckon you probably have to kneel so that they can get a decent angle on the pliers, so that they can pull it out. You might have to lie down even. I don't even know how you'd get at someone's mouth if they were...
Yeah, I think he walks over to the accrued people that is going to help, and he takes the pliers in his hand, and he kind of looks at them with a look that, well, it's almost like he's assessing what this thing is going to do to him.
It's going to hurt.
Oh, absolutely. And he slaps those pliers into Jeremy's hands.
Cool. Jeremy will look down at the pliers and then hand them to Elfston.
Alston gestures for the Lord to sit on a root or a branch. So he's sitting and lean back his head so his mouth is open.
Yeah, so Wirrick watches as Jeremy hands the pliers to Alfstan. And he doesn't say anything. He just looks at you directly in the face, Jeremy, and then turns an expressionless gaze. Sorry.
Offers the pliers back to Jeremy then.
Keep them. And just staring at Alstan like he sets himself to a knee and opens his mouth.
Yeah, Jeremy's turned his whole back on this to and fro with the looks and pliers, and turns to the gathered small folk. Look how your lord bleeds with you. We've no love for the Ironborn, and he laid 'em low, charged right into their midst. He did. Look to that tree. It's covered with teeth of lords and the old men. And his teeth goes on there too, to show he eats the wisdom of the old ways. There's a sacrifice for all good that comes from the old gods that we all pay. And he'll look to the people and try and lock eyes with the widow Mallory and like the other small folk that he dealt with in the aftermath of the battle. Kind of half pleading look on his face. Still wrestling with the news that he'd been given by Willard of plans within plans.
There's no cheer or anything, but you think that there's just like a almost supernatural stillness that comes over people when they're in this place. The weirwood, it feels like it's looking at you no matter where you are, and that look says, "Quiet, stop it." And you can feel that. I imagine, Jeremy, as you're talking quite loudly, and the crowd is looking a little bit uncomfortable. You see some of them sort of nod in the as you say the words, and that this is something that they are pleased with, that he's going through with these old rites. But there's no sort of yeah, it's a sort of solemn nod.
Yeah, he'll feel that weight settle on him and take up silence and go and stand with the witnessing crowd.
Willard has his hood up over his brow, obscuring most of his face, and the rain's saturated it, and big heavy drops peel away and splash down into the mud beneath his boots. And he's looking under his brow through the assemblage to find Arya, and he watches what looks transpire between her and Alfie throughout this ritual, and what things play out upon their faces when they're not looking at each other.
Arya is there, and she would she wouldn't have seen Alfie, I think, since the injury, and would be looking quite concerned at him, although even though he's able to stand here. You think it's a look of concern, although whether it's romantic or just friendly, it's kind of hard to know.
Mm-hmm.
And Alfie is concerned with the ritual and sort of knows Jeremy is not somebody who enjoys the public eye and things like that. So he's just trying to support his friend. Though if Arya has arrived, he's distracted but confused and upset, but it wouldn't be anything more than that. Hidden confusion and cast aside for some other time. he's waiting for Jeremy.
Oh, sorry. I guess, yeah. Seeing this, I mean, Jeremy, like from the first session, I guess he's guessing as much as knows what this process is all about, and perhaps it's some signal from Ulfston. He'll come over, and I imagine there's a few other people where we're gonna like hold the head of Lord Wirrick, and one person will like hold his jaw at the same time. So there's this sort of brutal reversal of respect and hierarchy as the pain's about to roll uphill for once. And you'll give a
Wirrick
nod.
gives a nod.
Right, you are Elfstan.
It is your task, Jeremy.
Oh, is it now? Oh, okay. Well, you'll think I'm not quite as strong as Elfstan. But I guess, yeah, he doesn't want things to falter, so I guess I will take up the pliers and see if I can't find purchase upon first actually with a finger, I'll be like feeling around in the mouth to see if I can figure out which one is a wisdom tooth. And then which one I can get the best purchase on that's perhaps like extended furthest out of the gum line. Sorry about this, my lord. And then reaching in with the pliers and one last finger on the other side, making sure it's made firm purchase on the tooth. He'll look up to Elfston, he'll look up to the crowd, look back down again, and perhaps steadying his nerve, almost like that moment when he draws back the bow, ready to let fly with the arrow. He steadies his nerve for that moment of action. And perhaps using a bit of leather on like the teeth of his lower jaw, he'll seek to kind of lever the pliers up, hopefully sparing most of his other teeth in the process. And I would like to use my inspiration to make sure this goes off smoothly.
Yeah, okay, go for it. I guess we'll call it like a medicine check or wound wise if you have that.
Oh, wound wise, thank God for that. Okay. Oh shit. Okay, so it was a natural 1 first roll, but the second roll was an 11, so plus 2 is 13.
Yeah, okay. So I imagine like you're able to get a grip on this tooth, but it's not like a great grip. And you start to pull and it's really quite painful. And you're like, I guess you like chip a bit of the tooth before you're able to pull it out. And so like the pincer will and like break a bit of the tooth off as opposed to pull it out of the mouth. You'll have to like get another grip on it a second time and pull out. Eventually, you're able to do so, but the pain is just unbelievable.
I don't think he could see. I don't think he can hear at that point. It's just this sharp, wrenching, gut spiraling agony. And he does his best not to fucking just scream and scream and scream. And what the sound that comes out of him is like a guttural, groaning growl. Just, oh! And it just echoes in the rain.
And as you're groaning, Alstan opens your left hand and indicates for Jeremy to put the tooth in it.
Yeah, I think first there's a little wad of like sphagnum and herbs that he pops in over the cavity left by the pulled tooth and says, "Bite down, my lord." And that's to staunch the blood and prevent like a pit forming in the gum, and or blood. It helps the blood clot form. And then you'll place the tooth, somewhat chipped, into the left hand of his lord, and in the other a wooden mallet cushioned with leather on its ends. And I will seek to help him in his delirium towards the tree and aid him in driving it.
The herbs add a further brutal sting to the experience. And his eyes are just streaming as he feels this bloody tooth pressed into his hand and the mallet in the other. And sort of staggering, sort of squinting through the rain and through the pain, he gets to the front of the tree, and he's just resting his hand with the tooth beneath it against the bark, just staring at this thing. And then with an outpouring of just rage and all the pain that he's feeling, he uses that and just drives the mallet against the tooth. And I'm imagining it's going to hurt his fingers quite a lot as well, because there's not that much to hold, but he does it regardless. Just pours all of that into striking the mallet hard against the tree and driving his tooth into it.
Yeah, there's like blood coming out of your mouth and like dripping down into the snow and the roots of the white roots of the weirwood. You're able to hammer the tooth into the tree there with the teeth of all your ancestors.
The pact of the first men and the children of the forest lives again through the wisdom and blood of the Slates.
In another house, this would be where people shouted the words of the house. You don't know what yours are. Nobody does. And so there's just silence in the face of the weirwood.
I also imagine as the mallet hits it and the tooth drives home, like the weirwood gives up like a shower of droplets that fall down around us, and hair plastered to our faces, and the silence of the stone, which is almost the new words of House Slate, descends heavy and almost tangible on the glade. As eyes meet eyes, and the purpose of the gathered is measured in this act.
You see a couple of people nodding, like this was well done, and they're pleased. And they'll stay in the presence of the weirwood for a while, as long as they'll be allowed. But eventually, I imagine, they're told to clear off as you two make your way back to the castle.
Shortly after that, I think I'd find Alston, and with the intent to set off to Warrendon with Sir Lawrence as soon as possible.
Alston gets whatever poultices he needs from Meister Timot and his travelling things, and mounts up.
He says that you're insane to travel, that this is incredibly dangerous, that there's a good chance that you will re-break your foot, that you could die of an infection. And he lists all these things that could go wrong if you decide now to travel, that it's crazy, you absolutely shouldn't. And he will say that to anyone who asks. But all he can do is warn you.
I'm not a free. If you believe this, report it to Lord Slate and see if he changes his mind.
Yeah, he would do so.
Yeah.
He'd find you with it and say like that his foot is broken and pierced, and that it's like very dangerous for him to be traveling around.
Yeah, I don't want to go to Bowl and represent. He seems to the kind of guy who would hate that, but upon the Maester's advice, I guess we can't.
Well, I mean, you can, but I'm just saying, like, it's dangerous, you know?
But then by proxy, wasn't it dangerous to do all the other stuff that he did? Like going to the weir to pull out the tooth and all the travel walking around he's done since?
Right, but you
Don't have a.
Bo
don't have
seems indicated that he's, like, expecting someone to go there and, like, get pissed with him and, you know?
Mhm.
But, I mean, I'm not telling you can't do it, and you definitely can. Like, you have crutches and stuff so you can walk here and there.
Does House Bowl have a maester?
I wouldn't think so, actually. I don't know how big they are.
You'll
It
have
might.
to wait. Simple as that. It's a broken foot. It's going to take quite some time. I don't want to keep Sir Lawrence waiting, so I'll take Master Timos's advice, and I guess we'll just put that on the back burner.
Oh well.
No, I mean, you can go if you want to. I'm not saying you can't go. Just the Maester would give that advice.
It's sage advice. We can't have one of our best warriors dying from an infection in his foot.
What's my lord's command? Are you there, Rob?
I didn't think I was present at this bit. Sorry, I sort of assumed that I'd.
No, I was. The Maester was going to you, I think. To that's how I imagined it.
Yeah, he would go to whoever. So I think he'd speak to Willard and to Wyrick, just to say like that this is quite dangerous, and that like continued strenuous activity will like increase the time it takes to heal it, and you know that sort of stuff.
Yeah, it's not.
It's like that's his job, is to be extremely cautious with this stuff, you know. So you would expect him to say that.
Yeah, and I think for sure he's probably seen a fair few cases where that definitely has happened. So like it's with good reason that he warns it. Wyrick's actually going to look to Alstan and say, when questioning on this, you would go if you feel that you can and should.
Yes.
Very well.
I wish to be a bannerman of yours, and a bannerman with no leg is no bannerman.
As you say, cousin. And Wyrick tries to just give him like, as he tries, it would be a genuine look of just like concern.
Okay, so who's going? Lawrence?
Me, 4 riders, and Lawrence's squire, and the body of Martin. Does that sound good?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go at once to Warrington and then take ship with Harbour Master Hook up to the outskirts of Bowl Lands and cut across inland to High Point by horse and cart.
Yep, you can do that. One of the it wouldn't be Hook himself, but one of the fishermen will take you. with no problem, like up and around Sea Dragon, or close to Sea Dragon Point, and then around it. He'll come in kind of on top of it, towards the lands of Bull. Are you planning to like go to Bull and say hello, or just pass through?
I got the impression that he's the kind of guy who wants what he said and doesn't want me coming up there mewling and being like, oh, he's got a broken foot at the, and I can just see it now. So that's what I meant before. I'll just put that on ice for now. Yep. Unfortunately, I think that's better than going to him and pissing him off. Sorry, Jeff, what were you going to say?
I was just going to say, like, we could just kind of arrange it more as like a touch-up meeting to set up further plans. Like, because I think it still might, like, I guess I wouldn't have a good sense on like this person's disposition as you, but like if we could, like, FaceTime probably isn't the worst thing. Like, he's still a lord that we're like allied with. So maybe even if it's not under the guise of like hammering out the finer marriage details, like it might still help to say hi, but maybe it wouldn't, and maybe it would make things worse.
I guess we're up here anyway, and we have horses. I guess we can do it. Sorry, Lloyd.
What you know of Bowl is that they're they were a tribe as opposed to a lordly house, and they got lifted up to be a lordly house. That they're very like old school, and they're like from the Wolfswood, and like a bit less sort of, there's no like chivalry around them, and very little in terms of like courtly manners and stuff, which is clearly why he sent a letter that was like that as well,
I imagine
I guess the better question is, would we insult them by not seeing them if we pass through their lands?
Yeah, what do you reckon about that, Lloyd?
Maybe.
I have this feature, advisor. I've heard of them. One of your main duties as a lord is to know you're dealing with. You've studied the ancestry of other houses and learned the history of the world. When you're in court-like situations, you always know at least one person by reputation. You always know at least one deed they're known for. When you meet a lord or person of note, you can usually recall at least one fact about them.
Yeah, like Ulrich Boll is old and a warrior, and
fierce and prickly, and he fought in that blood ice battle with the Ironborn.
Yeah, he fought in there, and he killed like in single combat Garen Orkwood, who's like an Ironborn lord. So he like was a great warrior. Now it's like quite old, but still has that mentality of like a great warrior.
Yeah.
So you think that he's expecting whoever comes up here to be like Alfie, basically, like big,
that's what I was about to say. Like, and a dude who'll walk up a hill for his wife with a broken foot, he'll think that's rad. And if I put like that ruby sword of the Ironborn in his hand to give as bride price, he'd probably think that was pretty schmick too.
Yeah.
That being said, though, like Jeff raised, will we insult him if we don't reply to the Raven and don't come see him while we're up there? I take from what you've said, he wouldn't give a shit.
Yeah, probably
he wouldn't care if I come and mule with Pompery or not. But am I gauging it wrong?
I think your impression would be that he would care when you come to ask for the daughter's hand in marriage, that it's done well. But beyond that, like, the interactions aren't unimportant, because it's like that's the one that matters,
Yeah, cool.
And save the time then. Skip it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we'll put it on hold and we'll just ride straight for High Point, presuming we get to the shore fine.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you're gonna go there. And Wirrick, you're not going, so what are you doing at home in Blackmere?
Well, I think Wirrick's going to take this time as an opportunity to be a front-facing, or rather public-facing lord. So he is going to have it arranged with the Maester that the townsfolk with troubles and issues and things that they would want to raise with him can basically hold council with him.
Okay, I see what you mean. Yep. So people can like come and do
That's right. My lord, my wall's fallen down. What can I do? That sort of thing.
Okay, cool. All right. So in terms of getting to like going by ship is fine. It's safe. It's much safer than traveling over land, and it's much quicker. And so I think like rather than it like going through, you're on the sea for this amount of time, blah blah blah. Like you can just get to Whitehill. It's not like that difficult.
Beauty.
taking your ship and then going through the bowlands and stuff, so you can arrive without any difficulty there. High Point. So it's a castle as opposed to a tower house, which is what many of the sort of lordly houses around here are tower houses. This is an actual castle. It's not like a castle like the Stormlands have castles, which are all like gigantic and ancient and like magic, but it is a castle. It's pretty significant in terms of size, and it's like very near the top of this particular mountain. And there are you would notice like a lot of dead lands around here, as in like that have been heavily deforested. And you would know of White Hill that they like sold the bulk of their ironwood early in their time, and now sort of are resting on the wealth of that. But that there are lots of ironwood forests around here. And so you can arrive sort of by cart and by horse in the sort of surrounds of High Point, and you'll be greeted by guards and things like that, who, figuring out who you are once you explain it to them, will bring you inside and sit you somewhere comfortable. Someone will take care of your horses, and you'll be met very quickly by Lady Whitehill.
I'll rise at once and gesture that our soldiers should do the same if we were like loitering about, and like bow our heads respectfully in like uniform manner to her as she approaches.
Yep, Lawrence will oblige that. Going to do so already without the prompt.
Hang on, I gotta find her picture. It's here somewhere. There's so many. My OBS for this game has so many pictures compared to every other because there's so many characters. There we go. Yep, so she'll approach and sort of incline her head as well. You are most welcome. Dreadful journey and rain this whole way. You made good time.
We have the old gods and the new smiled upon our journey. We had no trouble, and haste was with us, as sadly haste is our need, lady. We thank you for your hospitality. If I might introduce myself, Lord Willard, I'm here on behalf of my brother, Lord Wyrick of Blackmere, and this, the knight anointed Sir Lawrence, here at the sad business to inter his brother slain in valiant combat. And he won't acknowledge the 4 guards behind them because he's a noble.
The father knows his name, she'll say to you, Lawrence, and incline her head. You're most welcome. I know there are not many places around here where the devout can find peace, but you can find it here in our sept.
A pleasure to meet you, lady, and I'm grateful for your hospitality. He'll say, leaving most of the courtship process to Willard, but not wanting to be indignant.
You have come a long way, and I understand that it is urgent. Our sept, you are more than welcome. And she'll like point. There's like handmaids and stuff with her, and there's a couple or 2 knights that stand like either side of her. And she'll like point in the direction of the sept. Our septon will see to all of the correct rituals and see your brother along his way.
I'm most grateful to you, lady, for this generosity. It means me well that my brother would be interred in such a wonderful place, given the proper due that he has deserved, as all anointed men are. You have my deepest thanks.
There's nothing to thank. We are all children of the gods.
I thought, lady, that I might speak to you on my brother's business and on the ravens between us, while Sir Lawrence sees to the needful rites.
Yes, that would be enjoyable.
At your leisure, of course. I'm here to serve.
Of course. She sort of smiles. And and says, "I'm just on my way to prayer, but perhaps after you have some lunch and discuss what's to be discussed."
He'll nod and find somewhere to quiet himself where he can't cause any mischief.
Yeah, so she'll go with you, Lawrence, then to the sept. Yeah, so it's a bit of a walk back outside again, but you see that they have a stone sept here, and it's like quite nice. It's quite large for a sept. You think it's probably one of the most northerly septs in Westeros. Maybe it is the most northerly sept in Westeros. And it's a stone building. It's got this like really fine stained glass window at the front. And she will lead you inside. It's quiet inside, and you can see for the first time in a couple of months, I imagine, like the 7 statues. These are all stone arrayed around the sept itself. And inside there's an old septon at his prayers. Beyond that, it's empty in here.
Yeah, Lawrence can't help but like feel a bit emotional at like the sight of the sept outside, and especially once he enters the door inside. Previously, he's never been a man of massive faith. Like it's largely just like as a duty, as a knight, he needs to be a member, like anointed in the 7. But something about it this time feels different. Like he can't help but like hope that the belief that there is some truth to it now, seeing his brother brought here, that maybe there's more to it.
Yeah, the septon will rise and he'll walk. He's not wearing any shoes. He'll like walk, and he wears this like threadbare robe. He'll like walk over to you, like look up into your eyes, and sort of squint a little bit. "My son, you're unwell. It's been a long journey. You're safe. You're home."
It's been some time since I've gotten to see the wonder that is the sept. I'm gracious for your invitation and for the duties.
"It's all right, lad. I'll see your brother away."
Thank you, Septon.
He'll like, or you'll notice that there are people moving the cart like around to the side of the sept, and that the body is being brought in, and like then in behind into one of the rooms. It'll be some time before he's properly cleansed, but if you would like, you can stay here and speak with the 7. They will guide you. They will help make this easier for you.
Thank you for your welcome. As you say, I think some time of contemplation and prayer to the 7 may do me well in this time. Still trying to, like, for a moment, he'll like almost slip into like sort of like a casual description of it, and then like remembering the formality of it all, will like catch himself and just give a nod. Whenever he's prepared, I'd be happy to attend to anything that needs to be done. Otherwise, I'll be here, say what I can to the gods, and see what wisdom they might provide me in a time of mourning.
It's often when we need them most. They can hear you. He'll put his hand on your shoulder, and then he'll head into that back room to begin whatever strange rituals they do.
And Lawrence will, surprisingly, even to himself, surprisingly, actually will take a seat somewhere within the sept. And whether it's honest prayer or more meditation than anything, we'll kind of ponder over the 7, kind of like admiring the statues in here, like the amazing architecture and like the beauty of it. And after like seeing his brother quite literally rotting away next to him over the last couple days, we'll be like glad and feel like a huge sense of relief and a weight fall off his shoulders as he finally sees him being attended to in the proper way.
In the meantime, in the after like maybe an hour or so, she will return, or you'll be called for rather, Willard.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be brought into this like solarium, this like room that's like relatively high up and like overlooks and has like this great sort of balcony that looks out, and it's covered from the rain that seems to be ceaseless in this part of the world. And so she's looking out over these white hills all around. It's quite a nice view. You're up quite high here. And she would make her way to a table and pour wine for the both of you and sit. How's Slate? Of the stony shore. How's Slate with no sigil?
Just our grey shield and white twin banners, lady. No image. As you, a student of history, I presume, must know.
It's interesting. I think you might be the only house in all Westeros.
We each have our peculiarities. He'll gesture out the from the survey or vantage towards the sept.
In ancient days, Dragon Queen flew here, landed here, built that sept.
Aelira, the gracious.
That's right.
Targaryen wonder here, even in this place. It shows their grandeur and is testament to your people's faith.
I would so like to see a dragon.
My brother says they languish and are sickly, pitiful things to look upon these days. Even wonder in that state is still wonder, though, nay?
Truly. And if they have become sickly and ill, then maybe there will be a time when we won't see any. And that would be a great shame.
Surely for we in Westeros it would be as it was before the coming of dragons. Not so distant in our memory to conjure.
We could not go back.
By the old gods and the new, do we have any say in the matter?
Not you or I.
Might we turn our speech to things we command, my lady?
Yes, you find me in a wistful mood, I think. But yes, you're quite right.
My brother sends his apologies that he cannot be here personally. He was wounded recently in a fight with Ironborn, and so a great many in our realm. And he sees to them as priority, as part of his oath to them, sends his regrets with me, and promise that you shall meet in the future if you will it. He'll say that in a genuine tone. Even if Rob didn't actually tell him to say that, he knows the sentiment would be there because Rob's quite pious and mannerly. Not Rob, sorry, Wyrick.
Yeah, the hated Ironborn. It was a few years ago, quite a few years ago, but my father fought against them, won the battle with the Crimson Ice, in fact. Good that you sew them off, and that they are gone. They're not welcome in these shores.
Agreed. It was concerning to us that they lingered so close to our holdfast and to that of our friends and neighbours.
They are quite insidious, I think. They are everywhere. And I believe it is House Dace. She leans forward. They have Ironborn roots. I think that they might be feeding information.
Lady, I fear you may be in poor company if you are one who judges men upon their roots. My ancestors are not fair to read upon.
That's what we are, though, is it not? Our ancestors are roots, noble houses, and noble names that go back to the first men.
Parts of us, I think, but not all of us. Else there would not be such fluctuation in the history books as the time ekes on.
No, indeed. The flipping of a coin, as they say.
He nods at that.
And so?
And so I regret to inform you that we have no offer that we think would sustain your interest in marriage between my lord brother Wirrick and yourself, and I wish to communicate this to you, not by simple raven. Your question was well asked, and there is scant we can offer you but for our mines and our port and our access to our neighbours. The stony shore is sparsely populated and yields little to hard folk who toil overmuch. Though I thank you on behalf of Wirrick for your consideration of us, you do us great honour.
Strange that he does not come himself, even if he is wounded. But I understand.
He would not leave his people bereft of his governance while things are uneasy, lady. There is brigandry between our lands in House Vollen, and there are ironborn who walk our shores without challenge. He risks much to leave his people in the care of lesser men.
I understand. And I appreciate your being forthright and honest about your situation, just as I am with mine. I am perhaps the most eligible woman in this part of the world at the moment, sole heir to this. I appreciate your honesty, Lord Wallet.
I think it fitting price to pay for your fairness and hospitality and time, lady.
I would not see any of the devout without a proper place, be it now or in the life hereafter. You can tell Sir Lawrence that any time he wishes to come here to pray, he is most welcome.
He would be most thankful and honoured, lady. He is pious and fervent, and knows his manner, and will bring only honour to this household if you let him to it further. He is of an age and tested in battle, though unwed.
She sort of smiles. Well, he's handsome, but he's not a lord, not a great lord.
I see there is only one lady here, but there are other women.
That is very true.
He yearns, I would hazard, for spiritual succor that only those of southern faith can give. He does not see North women as you or I might, being of this place.
He will remain at Blackmere.
He is sworn to my brother. He is his first sword and the master of horse at the Tor. A man of no small station or honour.
No, indeed, but I cannot condemn one of my handmaidens or to a place with no sept.
What if there were to be a sept, lady? What if I had stone and labour and perhaps the future means that one might be made?
Well, then it would be worth considering. He does seem a godly man, and a good man. And
He is leal in his service to the Seven and my brother, from what I can tell, lady.
and some of my handmaidens, they did say that he was quite handsome. He sort of smiles at that.
They might brighten the halls of my late respectable father, and bring comfort to others who my brother have brought in his train from the south, who respect our ways but yearn to hear their own songs, as it were. My brother does not begrudge them. He is fair in this respect. I hazard that you would think so, lady, given your own piety.
Septon Jarek would insist, of course, that teachers and a septa or a septon go with.
We have a scepter, my lady, already, though I am thankful on behalf of my brother for the offer. Septon Nissa is well trained in the House of the Blackwoods.
Huh. And yet no sept.
A shame for those who follow the Seven in our lands, but current circumstances leave us unable to meet those needs for them.
Well, it's worth considering. I think Sir Lawrence is a good match, and he seems a goodly man. And so, when you have a sept, perhaps we can discuss what's to happen next. I'm not opposed to the idea. In fact, I'm enthused by it.
I'm well glad to hear that, lady. I will not detain you further if that would be your wish, and I will tell Lawrence what you've spoken of, and that he is welcome here. I thank you in advance for such a kindly offer and look forward to meeting further next time. Perhaps you may speak with Wyrick, who I'm sure you'll have much to speak of given your shared interest in the Seven.
I should hope so. She'll stand and extend her hand for you to kiss. And then she'll sort of sweep out with the handmaidens, one of whom sort of giggles something into her ear as they walk away.
Yeah, Wyrick, Willard, relaxes a little, and lets out a breath. That's probably the most tense meeting he's been in this capacity by himself against a much more experienced and powerful opponent, unlike others he'd sparred with. And he kept his nerve to not be rattled by it. But now that he is alone, he'll let out that kind of and look across to Beric, who whistles nothing, and he'll go there to his chamber to rest until Lawrence is ready. He'll probably, if he's able to take that liberty, go and pen a letter, and sometime after send it from the Rookery back to Wyrick to inform him of what's happened and how long we may or we might be, etc., and then just retire to his chambers.
The hour or so will go by, Lawrence, and then you'll be called to an outside sort of covered awning, and the body has been laid out, and you can see in white robes that they've obviously taken from here, and these painted stones have been placed over Martin's eyes. And there are two women, both of whom have their faces covered, apart from their eyes, who are standing either side of the septon. So, Lawrence, this will be the time that I will send him to the gods, if you'd like to be here. No need for you to say anything if you don't wish. I know this is a hard moment, but he will go to the Father.
Yeah, Lawrence will look down at the body, even though he's been around it so much over the last couple days, and it's in better shape than he's ever seen it since he's passed. Seeing the stones on his eyes here in the sept kind of reopens the wound, however much it could have healed already in this time. And he'll close his eyes and bow his head just for a moment before looking back up at the septon. May the stranger guide him.
Father above, judge him justly and with mercy. And there's as they light the pyre. On one end, Mother above, bless him and keep him safe with you. Warrior, give us courage to face this dark time and take his warrior to your side. Maiden, see that he lived a life free of depravity and filled with virtue. Smith, strengthen our hands and our backs so we may see him to you. Crone, guide him on his journey from darkness to light. And stranger, pass over us as you may bring him to the light. Great fire burns, and as it burns, he'll move over to stand next to you, and he'll put a hand on your shoulder and keep it there as you watch the burning.
Lawrence will fight. He's fought so hard over the last couple days to keep that like knightly stoicism in the face of everything. But like at this point, it's like bottled up so much that I think he can't like continue the facade anymore. And like will his battle against it will fail. And he'll like tears will begin to stream down his face, like seeing his brother actually here and gone and sent away. Both like the relief that he was able to get the burial that he deserved, and like the distress at what's actually happened, and like struggling with faith that this is like actually hoping that there's actually a better place for him beyond this, if such a thing exists.
Yeah, the Septon won't say anything, but he will keep his hand on your shoulder as he burns. And then eventually, sort of as the fires are dying down, he'll say, "Many of us lose our way. We always find our way home to the Seven. You found your way home, son. Remember your vows. It might do you good to say them in there. I'll give you a moment." And he'll squeeze your shoulder again as he and the sisters will like see to the cleaning of the bones, which will be buried beneath the sept.
Yeah, Lawrence will lend more credence to this man's words than even he thought that he might going in. Like there's something about being here after it being so long since he had been in one. I think it's hard not to feel some level of emotion, especially given the circumstance. And as the sept leaves, we'll just give a deep nod, as if like acknowledging the sept's point, like after the fact, just as much to himself as to anyone else.
In the meantime, they will set to the cleaning of the bones and thereafter bury him in the graveyard around the sept itself with a marker so that you can make visit whenever you feel like it. Back in Blackmere, it's night, and you, Alfie, are sleeping, sort of exhausted and in quite a bit of pain from your exertions of the day. And there's this like and like padding footsteps. And as you like blearily open an eye, you can see a squirrel is in the room, sort of like staring at you. Are you dead? Alfie! Alfie! Alfie?
Sorry, I forgot that I was muted.
Ah.
Yeah. Oh, you. I'm being tormented by. I'm not dead, but I'm being tormented by some spirit already, it seems.
Yeah, you're cursed, you idiot. What happened to you?
Some. I put my foot accidentally under a spear.
What did you do that for? Not very clever.
I was imitating some of your. I don't know what response to make. I'm not.
All right. Shh. She goes and closes the door, and then like climbs over you and into the bed.
And a little while later, I say, and Aria, when you think of I love being with you, and I love the time we are together, but when you think of the future, what of that?
Well, I know this is not what my father has in mind. Doesn't like you.
And what would you do?
It's the house. I'm the house.
You are the house.
I would run if I could, but I can't.
Today in council,
What?
I swore years ago that I would not let them marry you against your will, and I swore that I would tell you the truth, and I've started to speak, so I've got to finish. What do you think of Lord Wyrick?
Oh, fuck, she says.
He's a good man.
No, he's fine. He's fine.
Old.
He's not bad. He's fine. He's just... He's old, and he's boring. It's kind of sad.
From all accounts, he was a good husband to his last wife, and he's beloved down there and he's attracted people to him, and they are loyal to him. He wouldn't be a bad match.
But he's not you.
He's a lord of Blackmere. I'm a nothing.
You're not nothing, Elfie.
I could have even been a Snow had not Lord Willem and my father acknowledged me as part of the family. There are those who still look at me as a Snow.
Well, you're not. You're Slate.
I am not. No, I am not. And I want to hear your mind on this, because the present is beautiful, but I haven't been thinking about the future, and it's time we face up to it.
Yeah. I have to. I just have to. I have to be okay with it, and so do you. Fuck.
He kicks out and winces. Oh, God.
She laughs at that.
Oh, if only... This was not the way I was brought up. When I was young, we just had passions, and we just followed our passions and did what we wanted, and we argued, and we didn't hide what we felt. And it was so hard learning how to behave in this place where people are bound by customs and invisible rules. But, well, you were the one who helped me to understand.
You know, when you're a kid, it's different. You can kind of do what you want to do when you're a child, but now we're not children anymore, and now we have responsibilities, and who ends up marrying me is a very important decision, and I understand why. I just don't like it. I'm sure he'll be a good man, fine, acceptable. My father always said that he didn't like my mother when they first met, that they grew to like each other. And will you still be here in Blackmere?
Yes, I'm my cousin's sworn bannerman.
That will be hell. to see you all the time. We just have to be okay with it. We just have to decide that it's for the best.
In the darkness, you can just hear occasional drips falling onto the blankets. Here. He fumbles with a tinderbox and lights a little candle. And reaches into his pouch and pulls out a little silver coin. Don't know why, but this time of ours has been a sort of impossible dream, but I want to look back on it as a happy memory, as the past, a good past. And look at this, he says, handing her a coin. And a silver coin, but it doesn't have the stag on it like a normal silver coin. It has a couple of crossed long axes covered by a crown. You know what that is?
No, there's no. No.
That was a coin that was a silver coin minted years and years ago when the Barrow Kings ruled in these parts. Most of them have been melted down and marked with the stag. But a few, this is one of the few survivors from the past. And I want you to have this silver coin and keep it as a momentum of the past to remind you of the past that we've shared together. And so we can always remember that.
Yeah, she takes your hand and takes the coin. Do we have to? Can we not just... I'm very quiet.
The temptation. But no. It will only end if we end it now. Oh.
You're right.
There's a part of me that's just wanting where I was, for the first 8 years, I grew up north of the wall where we just followed our passions. We could go up there and everybody would understand and we'd be part of that society. But it's not your world, and it's not even my world anymore.
If I had brothers and sisters and other people who had my name, but I'm the only... The house dies with me.
You are a Holt, and...
Yeah. All right. You're right. We have to stop. Tomorrow, when the sun rises, he's like nodding. No more.
Oh God, he says. But it's correct. It's true.
The sun hasn't risen yet.
No. Let's hope it doesn't. If we keep our eyes closed, it won't rise for a long time.
She like jumps up out of the bed and like pulls tight the curtains.
He blows out the candle.
Yeah, and she'll jump into the bed, and you can spend the rest of that night together. And in the morning, there'll be many tears. And I think that's where we're going to leave it for tonight. It would feel a bit silly for me now to go to like, oh, the chickens are missing. So thanks very much for playing, gents, and thanks for watching if you did.